Peace, family. Peace, family. I had the mic on mute. I gotta catch myself. Welcome to Notalez Radio. Welcome to Melanin Monday. This is your host, Brother Red Pill. Before we get into the festivities tonight, I want to remind you that we have a pop-up in Houston, Texas. Shout out to all of my Houston, Texas family. Salute to the Houston, Texas family. You dig? All right. So we have the evolution will be digitized. The evolution will be digitized alongside the biggest crypto play ever. That's going to be popping up in Houston, Texas, exactly a week from now on Monday, Labor Day. All right. Shout out to all of the Labor Day family. You dig? Shout out to all of my Houston family, Pop Darby. All right. Shout out to J Crypto, Slice, and all of the brothers them out there in Texas. All right. We will see y'all next week. Okay. And right in the description, we have the tickets. We will be live streaming it. It'll be available via live stream. And we will also have it live and direct. All right. Live. So if you're in Houston, I want to see you. I want you to pull up. You know what I'm talking about? I want you to pull up and come and shake some hands. Come and meet and greet, you know what I mean? And chop it up with us. We will be in the building. You dig? So, yeah, that's what it is. All right. Let's play some music real quick. Let's play some music. All right. Let's get everything together. Let's play some music. We will not be playing Kanye West right now. No offense. But let's get into some music. You dig? All right. Let's see what we gonna go with.
To this day, to this day,
Red, Scorpion, Red Summers. The president still acting unpresidential. Bitch, I'm in the Bronx with the evil in my residential. It was all emojis, it was never mental. The silver spoon is under fire when the pressure bent it. The times that we living in unprecedented. We went from doing a Dougie fresh and vintage. Now the rhymes, they all pessimistic. They hashtagging black girl magic, just finesse the mystics. They impressed with quick chicks, only savages with less sadistic. They being less specific, no metaphysics. So many butter biscuits. They need extra biscuits. We had the blessed district. Fresh to death, we was dressing dripper. They worship lesser gods with the lesser mystics. Copy suckers on their breath is fish sticks. They think Takashi, yeah, they won't protect the witness. They think Takashi, yeah, they won't protect the witness. Hannibal Barker shit, darker shit. And the heart of it, yeah, starting shit. That Marty Martyr with Sean Carter starter kit. With big Sparta shit, 300. The crimes of the passionate ones who fell in love with blasting their guns. My chain froze, plain clothes, same goes for Wayne Grove. The Range Rover on strange roads. Dr. Strange mode on strange toes. Like the brain rearranged codes. 360 stack clearly like a plane roll. 365 winning really like a game host. 444 degrees on a range stove. On the coast of the mango. These niggas wanna know how power is obtained. If you act the shower posse, they'll tell you that it's hours of the rain. Till none of these cowards they remain. Flowers is arranged, carriages remain. Drawn by 400 horses, there was power in the range. 19 blocks cutters overpowering the planes. They left all them towers up in flames. I never look at 24 hours just the same. Bitch, I'm Jack Bauer mixed with Matt Black Power. You a mixture of that crack powder and Mr. Matt Lauer. Hashtag Mr. Me Too. You met Red Pillar, I suggest that you niggas meet Blue.
Yo, in the land of the brave, in the home of the giants, I was COVID compliant, she was COVID defiant. That was potent, reliant, we exposed to these tyrants. Composed to the science, we not posed to no trying. Controlling the climates, yeah, we mold these environments. Scientists with clientless, Midas touch with iron fist. Holding arms, only way to catch these gems. Texas with an open palm, equestrians on open farm. Potent on that potent wand, growing farms, coat of arms, Olympian. Kicked in doors, waving 44s. They wouldn't let me in. Shit, we talking like a thespian, but walking like pedestrians. It's my requiem, take you out front and center like ESPN. In the middle of the action, spitting with a passion. You get riddled if you passion. Shit, no dribble, we just passing off the scribble, we just cashing. Expand the vote, play above the rim. Earl ago, man ago. I turn from man a hole, can a hole. Let them hammers go, split your cantaloupe. Not even Amber Rope to stop me from slut shaming all these bitch niggas. Yes, your man's a hoe, the only antidote to split his cantaloupe. Leave you bloody like an antelope on Serengeti's. Get ready, shit, no introductions necessary. We legendary, yeah, the story still unfolds. Yeah, they taking notes like secretaries. Yeah, the heart is like a message heavy. About that life, but what we rep is deadly. Mystics in the forest, scientific winners, Morris. All the shit I spit historic, like every day is February. Shit, you like it, I adore it. Shit, I write it, then record it. Recite it, then perform it. Excitement, I'm all for it. Biting shit, walrus shit.
That's right. Yeah. Hold on. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about, y'all. That's what I'm talking about. That right there is off of the Red Summer album. You know what I'm talking about? Go and check out the Red Summer album. Make sure you go and get your Red Summer album. It is on the website, the Red Summer merch. All right. And when you're there, go grab some merchandise, you know what I'm saying? Some t-shirts, you know, some face rollers. But yeah, that right there is the China Flow featuring the brother Blue Pill. I'm glad I saw you in the room, Blue Pill, because I was about to skip your verse. No offense. You know what I'm talking about? It's just late and whatnot. So I wanted to get the show rolling, but I saw you in the building, so I don't do disrespect like that. So shout out to Blue. Let's do this roll call. Let's see who's in the building. You know what I mean? Let's see who's in the building tonight before we get into the festivities. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it. You know what I mean? Ready for that video, Blue Pill? The streets is asking, are you ready for that video? Huh? You did your push-ups? All right. Canada is in the building. All right. Cleveland, the land. You know what I'm talking about? Cleveland. The land. Turn my brightness down. Let me see. Let me work on that. You know what I mean? My camera is laggy. Don't say that. Let's see what's going on with the camera. No, the camera shouldn't be laggy. I got the webcam on. What are you talking about? How we looking? How are we looking? Talk black to me. ATL in the building. Chattanooga in the building. Canada in the building. You know what I'm talking about? Elizabeth in the building. DMV in the building. Turn the light off. Hold on. There we go. Is that better? Yet. I was looking like I was bleaching for a minute when I was looking at myself. Is that better? Y'all talk to me. Jacksonville in the building. Cocoa Beach in the building. PG, Maryland in the building. Seattle in the building. Texas in the building. Clearwater up in this thing. Crescent City is up in this thing. First and foremost, all of the family in Louisiana, all of the family in New Orleans, everybody that's affected by the hurricane, I'm sending you love and light. You know what I'm talking about? Love and light. You dig what I'm saying? Love and light to all of the family. Y'all said that I'm coming through crispy. I'm good. Okay. All right. High Point. I know. Is that where them hammers come from? High Point. They manufacture them High Points in High Point. Houston in the building. West Philly in the building. Greensville in the building. San Diego in the building. Macon in the building. Seminole, Florida. Yeah. Home of the Mouse. Rough Buff in the building. Buffalo in the building. Yeah. Shout out to Buffalo. Hinesville in the building. San Diego in the building. Who's that? Griselda? Buffalo is in the building. Indianapolis is in the building. Is that you, Benny? 40 side of Vernon. I see you. Carthage. Tunisia. When in Rome. Tapping in from St. Louis. Shout out to St. Louis. Shout out to the Chi. You feel me? Yeah. Shout out to everybody in the building. Oklahoma. We see you. We see you, Oklahoma. All right. Hold on a minute. East New York. What up, Bashira? What's good, my guy? East New York in this thing. Shout out to the East. East New York. All right. Shout out to my guy Nova Felder. I see you out there. You know what I mean? Got some big things on the way coming up. I see you. I see you. Okay. Zone 313. What it do? T Dot, what it do? Saudi Arabia, Jamaica, Bloomington, North America. All right, everybody's here. We could surmise that the fam is here. All right. So salute to everybody. Peace and love and light. You know what I'm talking about? Welcome to another episode of Melanin Monday. We are on episode 170. Hold on. We on episode 170.
To this day.
Yeah, niggas.
To this day.
Yeah, niggas. And you know what that means? That means that for consecutive 170 Mondays, right? I might have took 3 breaks out of all of those. I might have took 3 or 4 weeks off. But consecutively for 170 Mondays, we've been showing up, putting this thing down. That means something. That's called consistency, right? It reminds me of the consistency that we demonstrated when we were doing our radio show every Tuesday and Friday, right, Blue? It was every Tuesday and Friday, the same as this. This is Melanin Mondays. Yeah, we was doing every Tuesday and Friday on Blog Talk Radio with No to Ledge Radio. If y'all have the time, I would highly suggest that y'all go ahead and listen to some of those radio shows because they aged very well over time. A lot of old videos and a lot of old audio clips and podcasts. A lot of that stuff has aged well, especially in these days where the conscious community is going through, you know, it's going through its correction. That's what I like to call it. It's going through its correction, but you know, there's a lot of nostalgia. Everybody is doing the nostalgia pieces. You know what I'm talking about? Everybody is doing their thought pieces on where it started and how it was when it started and who came in when and all of that. You don't need to speculate. You don't, because there's 100,000 million opinions, and everybody with a microphone has something to say about things. All you have to do is go back to the archives. The archives don't lie. You know what I mean? The archival material, it doesn't lie. So I would highly suggest for anybody who just came into this community that wants to understand when things went to the left, or when, you know, just how things were when it was at its highest, when it was at its peak, at its apex, go and check out those shows. You know what I'm talking about? 700 plus shows. No to Ledge Radio, my friends. I'm going to be uploading some shows to the YouTube channel and whatnot, because they just put a feature on this app that we have where it allows you to upload you know, pre-existing shows and whatnot. So I'm gonna cherry pick some of our shows, some of the because there was all of them were classics, but I'm gonna pick some out, and we're gonna upload it and whatnot. I think the first one that I'm gonna upload is the history of the conscious community. It was a 2-part series. We did it with Black Dot, Red and Blue. Who else was on it, Blue? Do you remember who else was on it? Who was? I think it was AA was on. You know. Yeah. But it was informative. Very informative. Yeah, they on Spotify. You could find it on Spotify. I've uploaded material on Spotify, Apple Play, Google Play. You know, all of those streaming platforms have some of the archives, but Blog Talk has 700 shows. That's the original that's the original home of the shows. Brother Chris, right, who was a part of Eye Opener Productions, the ones who were bringing Bobby and Phil in, and Delbert before the other promoters, before King Simon and Sonetta and them took over and whatnot. These were the brothers out of LIU. If anybody ever hears about LIU, right? Brother Shabazz, Phil Valentine was also on the show and whatnot. You know what I'm talking about? So Phil Valentine is going to be on Black Magic 363 along with Panic and Billy Carson tomorrow, I believe 9 p.m. Eastern. Brother Shabazz, not Brother Shabazz from Harlem, Brother Shabazz, who was the original promoter of Eye Opener Productions, right? Brother Shabazz, Brother Chris, and Brother Rich, Haitian Rich, not Rich that you know from Black Magic. There was another Brother Rich, and there was three of them on the team, Eye Opener Productions, and they were the ones who did the classics. Whenever you see anything in LIU, right? Not anything per se, but 85% or 89% of those videos were done. And I gotta send a rest in peace, a rise in power to elder of ours, Mr. Gene Arnold. I found out that he made his ascension. This man was an integral part of the community. Okay, he was an elder. He looked out for all of us. You know what I'm talking about? This is the sister from Martin, Pam Arnold. That's her father, right? So I want to send a rising power to him, and we'll talk about that a little later and whatnot. So yeah. Somebody said they enjoyed the old Umar. Man, I enjoyed a lot of those old episodes. I promise you, like I said, when you go back and you hear some of your favorite teachers, you know, where their minds were at, you could tell that they were focused. You could tell that they were on their dean. You could tell that they were about teaching, right? And you could tell that they were, you could just tell that they had good intentions. I don't know what went wrong down the line to a few of them, but you'll be able to pick it up. Okay, you'll be able to pick it up when you listen to the episodes with a good ear, and that's facts. That's super facts. You still listen to Bobby and Delbert? Shit. Look, I don't know when it's gonna become fashionable to not listen to Bobby and Delbert. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know. I really feel like we should, enough is not given to the golden era. Like, I don't think enough attention is given to the golden era, and enough is not, people are not stressing it enough for people who are just coming in, the new students, the freshman class, the sophomore classes and whatnot. You feel me? I think it should be required listening that they get in touch and they tap in with some of the master teachers from that era in which they existed, in which they were quote unquote on the top. You know what I mean? That's the 80s, that's the 90s, and that would be early 2000s and whatnot. So the Dr. Sabies, the Dr. Africas, the Dr. Benz, the Dr. Clarks, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, right? All of the those were the collegiate academia, right? Renoko Rashidi, Ajra Kwesi, you know what I'm talking about? And then the metaphysical underground. Yeah, Tachina Arnold, right? That's her father. Her father's name is our good brother, Mr. Arnold. You know what I mean? Very, very, very cool brother, man. Very cool brother. Right? Dick Gregory. Yes, Dick Gregory, Dr. Sabi, right? that era right there, that era right there, you know, we gotta definitely put something together so we could feed that to the babies, you know what I mean? And some of their old students, y'all need to get that revival as well. Y'all need that revival as well. Y'all been eating a lot of junk food lately. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all been eating a lot of junk food and whatnot. You know what I'm talking about? And y'all might have forgot what that information felt like and what it tasted like. You gotta feed your palate and whatnot, because the shit that you've been eating lately, I don't know if that's good enough to fill you up. You know what I mean? There's organic food and then there's processed food. A lot of this information in the last 10 years is somewhat processed. So, you know, it is what it is. All right. It is what it is. But yes, first and foremost, how's everybody doing? How's everybody doing since we last linked up? All right, on Thursday. How is the family? I hope everybody is in good spirits. I hope everybody is mentally in good spirits, physically in great spirits, emotionally. I hope that you're balanced and whatnot, in good spirits financially. I hope you up and whatnot. You know what I mean? I was doing some day trading this morning and shit, you know. Shout out to my teacher. I'm being a student and whatnot. I'm learning things. You know what I mean? Today was a good day on the market. So yeah. Tapped in since 2001. Oh shit. You're a veteran. You know what I'm talking about? You a veteran. Let me find out. You know what I mean? That's what's up. You if you was tapped in since '01, you've seen a lot. You know what I mean? Like you've seen a lot. You definitely seen a lot. So shout out to all of the OG students. You know what I mean? Rising power to the reggae legend Lee Perry. You know what I mean? He was a boss. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the brother Lee Perry. You know, crypto jumping, stocks is jumping. Yeah, I think we going back to the bulls, the bull era. You know what I mean? I think the running of the bulls is here. You know what I mean? You said Donda was fire. How big was the Dr. York thing in comparison to this polite thing? That's an interesting story. That's an interesting question as well. You know, that is an interesting question. You know, Lee Perry was an influence. Yes, he definitely was. He definitely was. You know, the Dr. York thing, like I said, when it happened, that was like '01, right? If my memory serves me correct, that's before the towers came down. That was around the same time that Khaled died, got knocked off. You know what I mean? Like we didn't have social media back then. You feel me? That's a whole difference. We didn't have social media back then. You know, we didn't have 100 channels and whatnot. You know what I'm talking about? So it was a little different. People were talking. You know, I remember people having their word and whatnot, but it wasn't the same. This is different. You know, this is different. You know what I'm talking about? And we'll talk about that tonight. You know. Let's talk about Kanye West's album real quick before we get into the lesson for the night. Thank you, whoever just hit the Cash App. You know what I'm talking about? Let's talk about that album. If anybody heard Donda and you think that it was fire, give me a fire emoji. You know what I'm talking about? We're gonna use the old school voting system. You know, and if it was trash, give me a trash can. You feel me? You know, we're gonna keep it diplomatic, right? This is all about diplomacy. Last flight out of Kabul. This is all about restoring the democracy. So, you know, we just keep it democratic. You know what I mean? If you heard it and you think that it's fire, then put your fire emojis. I didn't say it was chill. Donda wasn't trash. Y'all gotta chill. Give my synopsis on it. Okay. Donda, 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 Donda. Donda. That shit sounded like my son trying to say daddy, 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 daddy. You're gonna be saying Donda if I play it too much around him and whatnot. I gotta be careful. You know what I mean? Hurricane Off Grid was crazy. That shit was my nigga went who is it, Fabio? Yeah, he went kind of dumb dilly on that. He went out the window. He went Riri on it. It's a mashup album, right? It's a mashup album of 808 Heartbreaks, right? Life of Pablo, and that last album that he did about Christ. He merged. Here goes Drake in the building. Hold on. The Champagne Poppy just pulled up. Hold on. Hey, Champagne Poppy. Champagne Poppy. Right? We could get into the whole 9/11 comparisons, how this is a 9/11 battle and whatnot, but I'll hold that for a moment. Because you see how he was bitching about his label dropping the album on Sunday, right? He wanted to drop the album on the 3rd because he wanted to do that battle with Drake. He wanted to do the same battle that he did with 50 Cent, right? He wanted to enact the quote unquote battle of sales and whatnot. Is really a battle of scales to see who still has relevancy and, you know, who's the big kahuna inside of the quote unquote industry and whatnot. Because as you know, we're dealing with ego. And we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to get into that. You know what I mean? We're going to get into we're going to get into delusions of grandeur, you know, narcissism, all kind of shit. You know, we're going to do a nice little analysis. Right. So they dropped it on Sunday, right? And it to be honest with you, I don't think that there's no other day that album would have made sense if they would have dropped it on a Friday. It's a Sunday like album. I was vibing to it on a Sunday because I'm like, oh shit, it's a gospel. Sunday is this is a church day, and this is a new type of gospel. You know what I mean? This sounds like it's like a new version, Kanye's version of, he deconstructed gospel music and put it together in its new form. And the shit got like 30 features on it. I'm sure that I would hate to see what the split sheet looks like, but the shit is like a DJ Khaled mixtape. You know what I'm talking about? He is he's really taking a back seat to do the production. To be honest with you, he was showcasing a whole bunch of new artists, established artists and whatnot, but the emphasis is really not on him, right? He's doing his Jesus thing. You know, God must breathe on this. God breathed on this. God breathed on this. God breathed on this. You know what I mean? And he's letting other niggas really shine. You know, Lil Baby did his thing. Of course, Hove did his thing. Hold on.
Hove. Cheer. I'm focused, man.
Yeah.
Young Hove, you heard? Yeah.
So, you know, he had like new artists and whatnot. The girl from Jamaica, Shanicia, right? You know, shorty to be in my DM. He had he had Fabio, Don Tolliver, you know, all of these new artists, Baby Reem or Baby Keem, I guess, right? The Playboy Cardi shit. So yeah, you know, I'm not mad at it. You feel me? Because I heard it months ago when he was in the stadium. I'm not mad at it. It sounds, or the audio of it, the way that he mixed it down, I didn't hear it in like a club. You feel me? I didn't hear it with the spatial headphones on yet. I didn't hear it. You know, I'm hearing that if you have that system and whatnot, you know, that surround sound, that the shit sounds very, you know, it will lift you up. You feel me? But I didn't really run back and listen to it today. And that's a telltale sign of, you know, an album's longevity. I went to listen to King's Disease 2 the next day, the day after that, the day after that, and then some shit happened and threw me off, and I was off of that for a minute. You feel me? And nobody had to tell me. I wasn't even rolling. I wasn't even running with the hype about King's Disease 2. You know what I mean? Like, I just thought that shit was fire. You feel me? But Donda, I didn't run back, and it's 27 songs, my nigga. I didn't wake up like, I need to hear Jail. I need to hear Jail. That shit was fire. Nah, that wasn't the case. That wasn't the case. Somebody says so far has no replay value. I'm just saying, I thought it was me. You know, I thought it was me. So the person, the artist to look for, right? The artist to look for, and the artist that I feel is going to be highly impressive, because I heard him on a single this week when Baby Keem, I guess it's a family member of his, dropped, and that's Kendrick Lamar. Yeah, that nigga spitting. You know what I'm talking about? That nigga spitting. You know, and he got something, he got a chip on his shoulder. As an artist wise speaking, I feel that, you know, I have more respect for him as an artist than I do for a lot of his contemporaries and whatnot. You know, nothing to take away from anybody else. And I don't like to mandingo wrestle when it comes to these rappers and whatnot. But just from an artist perspective, the way that he's mysterious, the way that he gets out of the way, you feel me? He's not, you could tell that he doesn't, if he has a narcissistic personality disorder, whoever's around him is keeping that bitch in a box. You feel me? He's not in the way. He's not messy and whatnot. He doesn't have these outbursts and things of that nature. I think that he handles celebrity very well for a person of his quote unquote on his skill level. You know what you know what I mean? He's not out here fake kicking it with other niggas and whatnot, all in the camera trying to dance with niggas. Like, he's not doing none of that. He's out of the way. He's mysterious. You feel me? And that only adds, his mystique adds on to his niceness. Real talk. Real talk. You know, I feel that he's working on himself. I believe him when he says, I'm working on myself. I'm trying to recover from the motherfucking addiction of fame and things of that nature. I believe him when he says that. You know what I'm talking about? Real talk. I'm like, yo, you're believable. So he has something to say. He has a certain kind of depth that I respect. You know, I learn something when I hear him rap. His flows, you know, all of that shit. You know, I'm talking about his selection of music. You know, he gives me a greater understanding of the heartbeat of the West and whatnot. You know, it's for me, it's him and Nip when it comes to that side. You know, shout out to Planet Asia, of course. You know, I'm talking about the legends. You can't overlook them. But when it comes to the West, you know, it's him and Nip ain't here no more. So what am I to say? You know, all eyes on Kendrick. And I'm not looking, you know, Baby making music with Drake. I'm trying to slow down. Yeah, shout out to D Smoke. I like D Smoke. You know what I mean? A little clonish and whatnot. You know what I'm talking about? A little laboratory and whatnot. Like, he was made in the lab, but he does have flow. You feel me? But it's a little too Kendrick-y for me. A little too Kendrick-y for me. You know what I'm talking about? I fucks with. I like the original. I like the original. You know what I mean? I don't do facsimiles. You know what I mean? Give me the original and I'll stick with that. You feel me? I'll stick with that. Yeah, Jay Electronica went in on his verse. You feel me? Jay Electronica went in on his verse. Yeah, Absol. I've publicly said that was one of my favorite artists in 2012, right? You might have been the best artist that year for me. I was on Chief Keef, right? And I was on Chief Keef. I was studying the little dude. Like, I was like studying him. and I'm gonna keep it a buck. I started listening to that shit. I was like, yo, I was listening to, I'm talking about old Chief Keef, John Madden, Bang Bang. You know what I mean? Like before he got signed, before this was before Don't Like. I'm talking about old Chief Keef. I was fucking with that heavy, you know? And of course, Pro Era, Flatbush Zombies, Captain Steez, his solo projects, ASAP Rocky when they first was coming out, right? Pause. All of that shit, I was on that, and I was definitely fucking with that in 2012. That was a whole wave. They had a big wave, Black Hippie and whatnot. But Ab Soul, because Kendrick was cutting his teeth. You know what I mean? Kendrick had the rigor mortis. He had a few other things. He had what's that shit? What's that? District 80. And they had Black Hippie, but Black Lip Bastard. He was fusing street with consciousness in the ways that I was like, yes, my nigga, that's how you do it. When he came out with Control Theory, I'm like, yes, my nigga. No, I don't do Hobson. What happened to Joey Badass? That nigga's an actor right now. He's on fucking Raising Canaan. He's on Power, my nigga. And I heard that he's bodying the role. He's doing like a offshoot of Supremes from the Supreme team. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, Section 80. You know, Section 80. Yeah, but Good Kid, Bad City came out later. You know? That came out later. There you go, Underachievers. Legend.
To this day.
Yes, niggas. Them young niggas had it popping. I was lit. I was impressed. I was like, oh shit. Remember, going back to what I'm gonna have a conversation about, those of us that were in the conscious community who were on the front lines and, you know, standing out there, putting it all on the line to reach out to the youth, right? Who would walk past us and look at us like we was bummy niggas. You know what I mean? They would look us up and down and whatnot. Like, look at these back to Africa ass niggas. You know what I'm talking about? And they, you know, they wasn't feeling us like that in Harlem to some degree. The hell? Yo. With a blood clot. With a bomber clot. So somebody said Blue Pill, Christ Consciousness, Cambada, LSD, Red Summer, Black Magic. You need to go listen to Scorpion King. That shit aged well too. And I'm not just saying that because that's my classic, but that aged very well. The Scorpion King, 2016. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, Lupe was the shit back. I would never front on Lupe back then, you know. But yeah, he was that guy. He was that guy. So when I heard Thug Waffles, right? I think it was Thug Waffles from Flatbush Zombies, right? This was like 2013, 2012. I remember it clearly. This is when AA put out Batman Mafia mixtape. And I heard Thug Waffles. And then I heard Pro Era. I heard Captain Steez with the robot shit. And then I heard Underachievers, and the way that they was going in, and they had on like the Aya Heru and the Onks. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, yo, I'm tapping people. I'm like, fam, these young niggas is on it. Because we're so far into, you know, consciousness now that we can't remember that there was a day and a time where the youth were not on that wave. You know what I mean? They were not on that wave. They were not really picking up on what it is that was taking place. You know what I'm saying? They were in their own little world. But 2012, as I pointed out, right? that was a very instrumental year. That was a pivot year in the culture of hip hop. That was a pivotal year in the culture of hip hop because, like I said, that's the year that they signed Chief Keef to $10 million or $6 million for that drill movement in Chicago. But that's also the year that you hear that the new class is coming forward, right? These young brothers, the young spitters and whatnot. It turned into a young man's game from 2012. That's when they handed it over to the youth and whatnot. They kind of took the ball and started running in it, and they started making moves in the industry and shit like that. You dig what I'm saying? They started rising up in the industry and they started taking over. Like I said, when they handed Chief Keef that contract, that I have the report. I have the report. This is not speculation. The industry came together and said that we are retargeting our target audience. We are retargeting our target audience. So the music industry went from targeting 17 to 25. They turned back the clocks and was like, we targeting 12 to 25 because the model, remember the business model of the music industry changes from hard CDs to streaming. So the streaming is not an old man sport. The streaming is a young man sport. So it's only natural that they stop putting money on you old niggas and start investing in the younger artists because it was a young man sport. I was at Polo Ground Records in 2007, right there on 5th Avenue, 745 5th Avenue. We was inside of J Records, right? Our marquee artist was Hurricane Chris. Don't get gassed up. I was just an intern. I was infiltrating niggas. Don't get gassed. It wasn't like I was a CEO. You niggas are not gonna blame me for Snap Music. You know what I'm talking about? You're not gonna do that. But I was at Polo Ground Records. This is the same label to sign ASAP Rocky later on. I was there, right, with the A&Rs and the CEOs and all of them when Soulja Boy was on the way, right? Because when I say on the way, because they would bring his BDS charts, right? Every morning that they had a meeting, they would be looking at this nigga BDS charts, right? They would be looking at the numbers and they like, yo, he's coming. Right? It was him and Collie Park, right? DJ Smurf, I believe. They was like, he's coming. He's going to disrupt the industry. He's coming. They were trying to figure out what the fuck to do because they knew it was almost like Hurricane Ida. When Soulja Boy washed up on the shores of New York City, he was going to disrupt the whole industry. He was coming from the South, right? His campaign, his influence, right? It was coming down from the South, the same way the BMF when Jeezy was hot. I remember the tidal wave before it hit New York. Them niggas was sweeping up state by state by state by state, and the DJs and the radio programmers and the people at the label. That's when Jay-Z was at Def Jam. They was like, these niggas is coming. They don't know they coming because when they come, it's gonna hit like a hurricane. It's gonna shake the whole fucking building, and that's exactly what happened. Henceforth, you see the rise of Rick Ross, the rise of the new trap rappers, Rick Ross, Jeezy, and then Jay-Z comes out of retirement, and a few. That was all BMF's. That was all because of BMF's fingerprints. Facts. So when Soulja Boy hit the industry, he disrupted CDs and everything because he was an anomaly, because they didn't know how to deal with him, because this nigga was coming from the internet. They had no idea how to monetize and what to do to turn, you know what I mean, to merge the motherfucking industry. So that's 2007. Fast forward to 2012, they made the successful shift at that time. They were able to pivot and make the shift. So they changed the game from an old man's game and they started handing it to these young niggas. Henceforth, why Chief Keef and the whole Chicago gets put on. Little Reese, Chief Keef, Dirk and them with OTF and whatnot. They wasn't as big, but they was giving them their shine. And, you know, all of them niggas started getting signed and whatnot. And then the smaller labels was signing all of these Beast Coast niggas that I was just naming, underachievers, Flatbush Zombies. They wasn't signing to the majors and whatnot. They were signing to smaller labels, and you know, the rest is history, right? Bodega Bam, you know what I'm talking about? The rest is history and whatnot. And you could see how they influenced. And then you had also on the West Coast, you had Odd Future, right? You had Tyler in them. You know what I'm talking about? And remember, Tyler was low-key beefing with ASAP for a little while because they hadn't linked up at that point. They was kind of like, you know, it was some foo-foo shit going on. But Tyler and all of them with the whole with that movement with Odd Future and whatnot, that was coming from the West Coast. You know, that was coming from the West Coast. So shout out to all of those artists, you know. Is Tyler really moist? Yeah, I think so. You know, Earl Sweatshirt, Tyler, Internet, you know, all of them. What was my dude? Dom Genesis. He was a spitter. You know what I'm talking about? He was a spitter. Raider Clan, right? Space Ghost Perpinum, Raider Clan. You know what I mean? Future called him ASAP Copy. Right? You niggas was listening to yeah, you was listening to that. You was listening to Golf Wang, nigga. You know what I'm talking about? Yonkers was my shit. I was fucking with that, you know. Yonkers was my man. I liked it, that song. I'm not wrong. Chief Keef was a plant bought and paid for. Okay. Okay. So when the game goes to when they hand the game over, remember, these are the check signers, right? These are how they disrupt the streets. They're not stupid. They know how to disrupt things, right? The people at the top, because it's a bird's eye view. When you on the top looking down, it's like fucking the movie Clash of the Titans when the Titans, when they were playing chess with the Olympus, when they were playing chess with the Olympians, because a bird's eye view is like you staring at the chessboard. It's not a worm's eye view. You're not looking up to whereas you don't see the whole, your vantage point is completely different. So the billionaires, the people who cut checks, the managers and whatnot, they're able to manipulate the industry, politics. They're able to manipulate certain type of artists. They're able to usher in certain type of sounds. And by doing that, they know that they can manipulate the streets because they understand that the motherfucking life is imitating the art. They understand the power of hip hop. They understand the influence of hip hop. So they're like, yo, if we sign this drill shit and put billions, millions behind it, right? And we put this dude in the front, like he's him, he's the new one, this is the new sound, then we know that it's gonna drown out the other young niggas that are trying to come up with consciousness, right? Even if it's street consciousness, we know that shit is gonna get drowned out because there's no money behind it, there's no promotion behind it. They're not, you know what I mean? Even if because they're not connected to the grassroots like that, because I promise you, if they would have connected with like the platforms that was popping at that time, the YouTube channels and whatnot, they would have been connected to a other audience, the older conscious audience, you know what I mean? And the younger ones who are just beginning to start to watch the videos and whatnot. So if they would have got that stamp and that cosign, it would have helped them go farther. And I'm speaking more so about the underachievers. And I wouldn't really say Flatbush Zombies, shout out to them and whatnot. But the message that they had, it wouldn't really resonate with the pro-black conscious people at that time. Because they was on the shrooms, you know, they was a little edgy and whatnot. So remember, the at that time, we talking 2012, 2010, the most salacious thing in the community was the conscious stripper. Right? Yeah, you can't forget Lil B, right? Lil B definitely. Lil B, I put Lil B and Tyler and a few others in that category when, you know, when they started bringing in that generation that was adamantly against the gangster ethos, right? They were adamantly against the gangster ethos. They were more than just sassy gangsters, you know what I mean? They were skateboarders, they were weird, you know, they were kind of like trolling people, You feel me? They kind of perfected the whole troll thing. So tonight we're going to also talk about trolls and the attention economy, right? So, you know, Lil B had came out with an album and it was entitled I'm Gay, right? And everybody was like, "Oh shit. This nigga's a homo." Nah, 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 nah. So then he kind of was like, "Nah, I just mean I'm happy." You know what I mean? I'm just saying that I'm happy. But this nigga wears like chandelier earrings. You know what I mean? He be on his weird shit. You know what I mean? But to me, when I look at it, even with Tyler and all of the funny, weird shit that they're doing, you got to remember that these niggas are trolls. Even in their earlier videos and whatnot, they became famous for trolling. They were like black versions of Steve O and the Jackass and whatnot, but they were online trolling and they understood the power of the troll. You feel me? It gets people talking. You don't forget a fucking troll. You know what I mean? You remember the antics when people make fools of themselves, when people make quote unquote debacles of themselves. They are, you know, they stay on your mind and whatnot. That's one of the laws of power. You know, that's one of the laws of power. He turned into a clout demon. Yeah. The base god, you know what I mean? Base god got all of the Beckys following him, right? He got a huge Becky following and whatnot. Crack Baby's grown up. That's Chief Keef and them. That's the drillers and whatnot. You feel me? That's Chief Keef and them. These younger brothers, like the Tylers and everything, I feel like they were rebelling against their father not being there. Right? That's what I hear, and that's what I see, and that's what I feel. It was the absent father in the house. And that's what a lot of the those artists and whatnot are reflecting, the hatred that they have for their fathers. You feel me? That's what I saw carrying out. There was drug abuse. They was on them pills at an early age, you know, and they were pushing back against the thug image. They were not dressing in baggy clothes. They didn't have the felony look. These niggas were dressing up very preppy like, you know what I mean? They were on the Kanye quote unquote paradigm. They were part of the Kanye paradigm. So the Kanye paradigm gave birth to a lot of artists who represented an aesthetic. You know what I'm talking about? An aesthetic. So the aesthetic that Kanye represented with the pink polos, you know, the teddy bear and shit like that. It's not cop, because hip hop is not about biting one style. It's about adding on to an existing style. Right? It's about taking pieces of someone's aesthetic and sprinkling your own mama sauce on it. You know what I'm talking about? So you have Pharrell, you know what I mean? You had the emo rap with Kid Cudi, right? You have even Pusha T softening up and whatnot and becoming a little more less aggressive and whatnot. You have there's a slew of artists who represent that ethos. You know what I'm talking about? It's a slew of artists. And then you have his baby, you have his little son. You know what I mean? You have his son, Drake, right? Who he tried to put under the wing and whatnot in the early stages, and it didn't necessarily work out fine for him, you know. But Drake was definitely, Lupe was part of that wave. Lupe was part of that wave, right? Lil B was part of that wave. Lil B comes from the pack, right? He was an artist from Too Short, right? One of Too Short's artists, and they were the ones that got you niggas wearing Vans and whatnot because they came out with the Van song. So then he broke off from the pack and he becomes Lil B, the bass god. And he was killing the internet when it came to the quote unquote streaming and everything. He perfected that. He kind of knew the motherfucking, he was a glitch. He perfected that before a lot of these other dudes did. You know what I mean? Wiz Khalifa, right? J. Cole, right? Because prior to that, this is the ultimate. See, Charles Hamilton. If y'all forget, if y'all don't remember, right? And Charles Hamilton got an interesting type of history. I was just having a conversation with somebody. Charles Hamilton introduced the House of Consciousness to Worldstar. I'm gonna say that again. It was the video that me and Charles Hamilton, I did a video on Harlem when I first started doing videos with Sonetta again in 2014, and the shit went viral and we hit Worldstar. After we hit Worldstar, right? Remember, I was giving you the rundown about how the youth in Harlem were kind of like, they knew who we was, but they was intimidated, right? They was intimidated by the energy. They was intimidated by the presence of the RBG flags. They were intimidated by some of the militancy. They was intimidated by Sonetta Bullhorn. They was intimidated because we had a lot of, it was goons around us. You know what I mean? Right there on 25th, they had goons in the area. So they was kind of intimidated, right? So people, the young niggas, and they wouldn't really stop like that. But you could tell that they was like, but after Charles Hamilton video, that's when they start pulling up, right? That's when they started to pull up and they started to be like, yo, let me get that video right there. Or yo, I saw you on Worldstar, right? So Charles Hamilton was the perfect Kanye spinoff. He's the one. He was supposed to be the one, right? He was supposed to be the one. He was projected to be a superstar along the likes of a Kanye West because he had a flow, he had bars and whatnot. And then he got punched in the face by his girlfriend, right? He got punched in the face by his girlfriend or somebody he was cutting, right? A shorty that he was cutting, right? And that kind of threw him into a loop, right? Where his mental health began to deteriorate. Now, according to him, he already had mental health issues prior to that, but he was able to mask it and whatnot. But after the situation happened and his ego got bruised and whatnot, right? What did he do? Right? What did he do? He began to abuse quote unquote chemicals, right? He told me to my face that Jimmy Iovine was his God, right? Yeah, he told us that, Jason. I remember that. And off the rip, right? Because when I see somebody with a mental health issue, I'm not gonna take advantage of them or try to embarrass them because it was 125th Street. People are known to be confrontational, and you're supposed to wash people up, right? That's the whole thing. Yo, wash that nigga up, body him, you know what I mean? Drag him and whatnot, cut his head off, you know what I mean? That's the thing, right? But when I approached him, I wasn't approaching him for no drama. I was just like, oh shit, I know who you are. Yo, what's up, bro? You want to talk to me while you have those black fingernail polishes on? You feel me? Like you want to have this conversation? And he was like, yeah, what's up? And then I peeped how he was moving and whatnot. And I was like, damn, they got him. You don't got to be a rocket scientist to know when your people are quote unquote possessed, right? Like they are. I'll get into that. You could look in a man's eye, right? If you have the sight, you could look into somebody's eyes, right? Like you could look into my eyes, nigga. I'm not possessed, right? The eyes are the windows of the soul. I looked into his eyes and I'm like, there's something inside of him. Somebody is occupying the driver's seat. You know what I'm talking about? Because I think, who is it? Billy Carson? Who is it that taught us about the quote unquote man that's in the back of the brain, right? This the movie with Eddie Murphy, Dave. What is it? Something Dave, right? So I'm like, somebody's in the driver's seat. And it's not the guy that I remember listening to who was fucking spitting bars. He's going through something. Somebody did something to this man. You feel me? Yeah, a walk-in. Somebody did something to him. So when you're dealing with somebody like that, you have to handle that person with some type of care, right? You know what I'm talking about? I seen it in Chief Keef's eye as well, right? But what I saw in Chief Keef's eye was a little more darker than the shit that I saw with this nigga right here. You know what I mean? Charles Hamilton, what I was looking at, it looked like he might have got like somebody might have he might have gotten abused or whatnot, or he might have abused the wrong type of drugs, right? Which opened him up. Like he might have took the wrong batch of fucking acid, or he might have took the wrong amount of shrooms and whatnot, right? Or he might have smoked the wrong bag of weed, because I've seen that on many different occasions. Or somebody passed him the motherfucking angel dust and he hit that shit like it was the Zaza. Right? So possession is real. Okay? Possession is real, and it's not a motherfucking game, bro. Possession is real, and it's not a game. I'm looking at YouTube and I'm seeing, and I've said it on this show, so you don't think that I'm out here clout chasing. I said on the show about a month ago, and then I said it a month before, and then I said it in January. I was like, yo, has anybody ever been psychically attacked? Has anybody ever went through a psychic attack? And I was pleading with the community on this channel. I was like, I hope none of y'all ever have to go through that. I hope none of y'all ever have to go through that. And if you ever go through something like that, get fucking help. Get help. Good thing for me, I got people around me that love me. You feel me? I got people around me that love me, and they're going to make sure that I'm okay. But I came back from Puerto Rico and I was fucked up for a minute. I keep it real with you. I was fucked up, yo. Whatever happened out there, that shit had me kind of fucked up for a minute. You feel me? I had to gather my thoughts. You know what I'm talking about? I had to gather my thoughts. You know? All of that, you know, that's what I'm saying. And I put the warning out. I'm like, yo, y'all need to be careful who you fuck with in this community, spiritual wise. Y'all can't be out here doing any type of barbiturates or pharmacopoeia, or you can't just be out here experimenting with chemicals. You can't be around, if people is out here doing spells and all of this crazy shit, you can't be around none of that shit. If you're not protected, you cannot be in the circumference of any of that. Be very fucking careful. And it's always people next to you that's going to be the ones that'll try to slip something to you. You understand? So, and it's even realer these days. I be online. I'm like, damn, who got to this nigga? They out here drilling. I promise you, the spirits is out here drilling the teachers. They out here drilling the students. You know what I mean? There's a few people that are going through it right now. You know? And they need people around them that love them and that care for them. You know? Because I made a spectacle of myself before. I remember being young. And I wilded out and I had a crowd staring at me, but it wasn't because they was impressed. Motherfuckers is going to watch you. They're going to watch you fall. They're going to watch you fall apart. It's entertaining. My, how the mighty have fallen, damn it. It's a shit show. It's a shit show. Yeah, I seen the brother lately. You know, that's demonic possession, straight like that. That's nothing to fucking joke about. You know, and like I said before, with this Delta variant, what the fuck is what's really going on with the variant, right? The variant Delta, the brainwaves, right? The brainwave Delta that's basically indicative of a zombie-like state. You mean to tell me that when you go outside or when you talk to the loved ones or when they got these motherfucking when these niggas is looking, they got hunt parties. They like how the Taliban is hunting niggas in Afghanistan right now. You got niggas with vaccine with the jab and whatnot hunting people who don't got the jab. You know, the people have become possessed by something. The people have become possessed by something. What is it? Why is it that the mentality or the brain waves of the collective are indicative of everybody being on the delta wave? Because they are really sleepwalking out here. I promise you. Pay attention. Pay attention. Perfect time to go into this little situation that I got. Let me there was a lecture that I did a few years ago. And I feel that it's only right. I was going through some notes and whatnot, putting together some things, and I ran across it because I was looking for this shit like a month ago. I was literally looking for this lecture about a month ago and I could not find it. It was it was basically hiding itself from me. But I finally found it, and timing is everything. So I'm gonna get into it real quick. And yeah, I'm gonna build on it real quick. So let me pull this shit up and let's get into this. All right, we got about 1,000 people in the building. Shout out to everybody in the building and whatnot. You know what I mean? We're gonna talk about the attention economy. You know, we're gonna talk about egregors. We're gonna talk about a few things. So yeah, let's get busy with it. All right. All right. Let me see. 1 second. Thank you, everybody sending cash apps. I appreciate you. At the end of the show, I will give you a call out. I will say your name. I will put you on the Akashic records. So when we look back at this 10 years from now, we'll know that y'all was here, paying homage and paying a tab and you know what I mean? Just supporting, your brothers and your sisters and the ones that are out here doing what they got to do, right? So this right here is a lecture that I did with Brother Rich. Shout out to Brother Rich, Black Magic 363. I did it 3 years ago. It was called The Attention Economy, Treasures and Trolls, right? And we were breaking down what the attention economy was about. We not just, giving it the definition. We were diving in. We were going a little bit deeper than average and whatnot. And we were doing a deep dive, right? We were doing a deep dive and we were unpacking what exactly was the quote unquote attention economy. Let me give you the context of the time that we were in so you will understand why we were talking about it at that time, right? At that time, this was the time where President Trump and his presidency, right, was, he was acting a fucking fool. He had you niggas on the ropes and whatnot, you know what I mean? And he was in the news every day, right? I mean, you tend to forget it because we living under the administration of fucking Sleepy Joe and whatnot. But he was on the news every day. He was tweeting every other hour. He was on the frontal lobe of people from all different backgrounds. And not only in America, he was a global troll, a global phenom on the troll side, right? Then we also had another troll in hip hop that was running things, right? And he had everybody's attention. He was inside of niggas' minds. People were going to sleep with this little colorful rat on their minds and whatnot. And he was running the charts, right? He had number ones. He was popping. He was intimidating to a lot of other rappers because he was out here trolling them and they couldn't seem to catch up with him. And that's Tekashi 6ix9ine, right? A doppelganger of your president who, you know, they both mastered the troll ethos, and they also are a part of the attention economy, right? And that shit worked for them. So I want to give you the definition of an egregor, right? You might hear about it on occasions, but I'm going to give you what the definition of egregor is, okay? Egregor is an occult concept representing a thought form or collective group mind, right? An autonomous psychic entity made up of and influencing the thoughts of a group of people. The symbiotic relationship between an this not, you know. Let's keep going. We ain't worrying about that. Let's keep going. I'm not even gonna say a word. You feel me? I ain't even gonna say a word. If I was up here gossiping and doing all kind of fuck shit, that wouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? That would not have happened. But like you know, I don't even have to say nothing. Okay. So back to what we was talking about, right? Before we were interrupted by whoever, whatever, right? This is what an egregor is. Let me go back to read the egregor definition. An egregor is an occult concept representing a thought form. Listen to what I'm explaining to you, right? A thought form or a collective group mind, right? An autonomous psychic entity made up of and influencing the thoughts of a group of people. The symbiotic relationship between an egregor and his group has been compared to the more recent non-occult concepts of the corporation as a legal entity and the meme, right? The meme, right? So what that means is anybody familiar with corporate policy, anybody familiar with corporate culture, anybody familiar with corporate America understands that when you go into a corporation, when you get hired by a corporation, either as a contractor, either as a quote unquote, even when you're a fucking what do they call that? A temp, even when you come from a temp agency, they'll put you through orientation. And orientation, they give you what is known as company policy or corporate policy. You are updated and you are quote unquote, they put you on to what the motherfucking corporate policy is, right? Then you go inside of the corporation and you start feeling a kind of way, right? The sorry to bother you shit might kick in, right? They'd be like, hey, what's good? Hey, what's good? How you doing, sir? And you're like, everything is fine, sir. where might my cubicle be? Please sit me down. I'm ready to get to work. You like, and then you sitting down, you like, damn, I don't sound like this at home in front of the missus. How did my voice change? Well, you're tapped in to an egregor. You're tapped in to a thought form. The minute you get into that office, you can feel it. You could feel that there's something different other than when you was in a train station. You felt a little more different, but when you walk into that corporate when you walk into that corporate entity, when you walk into that building, shit starts to change, right? The corporate policy dictates the thought forms. When you go to work, I mean, when you go to lunch and when you eat with the Beckys and whatnot, and y'all ha ha ha, y'all kiki and all of that fake ass laughter and shit, you know what I mean? The things that they think of corporately, the way that they think, the way that they move, you begin to conform. Look at anybody who works for the city workers, right? After 20 years and whatnot, a lot of our parents and things of that nature are city workers until they motherfucking retirement. The way that they went into the job is not the way that they come out the job. People who work for child protective services, the adoptions and motherfuckers that take children and whatnot, their intentions might have been good when they started out, but after a while, they become as fucking cold and callous as the motherfuckers who are running that shit. You know what I mean? It affects them. It gets to them. It changes them. It warps them. They might be able to turn it off when they go home and whatnot, because, you're in a new type of environment where there's a whole nother thought form that is domineering and whatnot. So it will overpower the thought form that you are tapped into when you're in corporate America, right? The conscious community. Let's use that as an example, right? There are egregors in the conscious community. There are thought forms. There's groupthink in the conscious community. The debate, quote unquote, environment helped to feed the egregor, right? The debate environment helped to feed the egregor. The YouTube environment about getting views and whatnot. Who's the big kahuna? Who's the head nigger in charge? That fed the egregor. I don't like this kid. I don't like this nigga. I don't like how he looks. I don't like how he dresses and whatnot. If we're Hebrew, then we hate Kemet. If we're this, then we hate that. If we're Kemetic, then we hate. If we're Pan-African, then we hate the Moors, because if we're the Moors, then we hate the MBCs. All of these competing thought forms, all of these egregors at war with each other. It's all egregor activities. Okay, motherfuckers could get possessed by that. Okay. The same way that when you're in the church, there's an egregor in the church. Oh, we're God's children. We're the chosen one. We better than these niggas. We're Baptist, so we're better than Protestant. We're Protestant. We're better than Catholic. And you're the Catholic, and you lock out things, and there's rape going on, and there's abuse going on, and there's all kind of shit. But that egregor, that powerful egregor that they help summon up in the Vatican and whatnot, that shit got you in a cobra clutch. That shit got you in a cobra clutch. The LBGT is an egregor. Okay. Feminism is an egregor. Okay. And it's fed propaganda, and it's fed all of these quote unquote fake ass, concepts and a lexicon, a new language and whatnot. And then they give you your archetypes, and then they give you your heroes, and then they parade that shit around. It's an egregor, my niggas. And it gets stronger. Thanksgiving, America. Right, the concept, the thought form of what they wanted you to believe that America is. That's an egregor. Every time that you celebrate the fucking the murderer, Columbus, and Thanksgiving and all of that fuck shit, you give power. You're feeding a demon. You're feeding an entity. You're feeding a Demi-Urge. Hold on. Drill music is an egregor. Drill music is an egregor. You're smoking your op. You're putting his name in your music. Candyman, 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 nigga. You seen the movie? That nigga's from Cabrini Green. Fuck is you saying? Candyman, niggas. You're invoking. You're invoking. You're bringing. You're invoking the dead in a disrespectful way. Candyman, right? The drill music is an egregor. It's little niggas born into it, right? They born into the egregor. They don't even have to, they get downloaded the minute they come outside in O Block. They get downloaded. They born with the motherfucking egregor. Yo, I hate this nigga from 63rd. I hate these other niggas. I hate this. I'm ready to drill at 4 years old. Right? These are thought forms. That's why the video that I showed last week, they were talking about the Taliban, right? We're going to talk about the Taliban as well before we can close it out with the Taliban. They were talking about the Taliban being an idea, a concept, aka an egregor. It's not a religion. It's not a political group. It's an idea. It's a concept. And the man that was in the video, he said that basically that an idea and a concept are super difficult to defeat. You could kill a man and you could kill the plan by killing a man. You knock a president, you kill Kennedy, you kill off the plan. You kill King, you kill Malcolm X and whatnot, you kill the motherfucking plan. But you cannot kill a thought and an idea and a concept that visionaries will hold in their motherfucking hearts and their minds. They'll be crypto, they'll be undercover with it. They'll be crypto Jews. They will be crypto Christians like the Moors who were Moriscos back in the days, but they were crypto Moors, meaning that behind closed doors when nobody is looking, they break out the motherfucking kufi and whatnot, and then they start praying and whatnot. But outside, and when they were subjugated by the quote unquote the Catholics, and when they were subjugated by the church, they had to be crypto Moors. They had to be undercover. Then you had crypto Jews. They were not allowed in Nazi Germany. They were crypto Jews. They were not allowed to be Jews out front, right? They're crypto Jews in Hollywood. That's why they changed their names. That's why you don't know that their fucking names are Weinstein and Ernstine and all of this dumb shit. These motherfuckers come in, I'm Bob the Builder. You know what I mean? They switch their names up, but they're being crypto Jews and whatnot. You feel me? So they're hiding something. They're trying to, you know, and niggas and you know, we don't know the difference. We don't know who's a European or white Anglo-Saxon Protestant versus who is a Yahudi and whatnot. We don't know. We can't tell because we're not asking people their nationality and whatnot. So they're able to act like they are white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, but at the end of the day, these are Sephardic Jews. You understand? So an egregor is a real entity. It is a real force. That's why intellectual warfare is so important. You know what I mean? That's why even debates have an importance to him, right? But there's a decor that comes with that. There's a decor. All right, look that word up. There's a decor that comes with certain things. So if you're not carrying it with a certain type of decor, however this shit starts is how it's going to finish. However, whatever energy that it was started with, that's the energy that's going to hover above it. That's the energy that's going to always be working the fucking chess pieces and whatnot. That's the entity that's going to download into the minds of the people who sign up to be a part of that quote unquote movement. So Hitler, right? Adolf Hitler, he was tapped in to a powerful egregor. He was tapped in, and by doing such, he was able to hypnotize the rest of his people in Nazi Germany to be under a spell that the egregor basically, because he was in touch, I think he was demonically possessed, right? Or not demonically, and this is where the quote unquote secret societies come in. This is where Hollywood comes in. This is where Weinstein and Epstein and all of them come in, because what they were doing was humiliation and sex rituals and all kind of stuff. And that's where the egregor, that's where they're able to possess people. That's where they're able to quote unquote fracture people and put them underneath some type of mind control. That's what R. Kelly was doing. Okay. It's deeper than MK Ultra. You know, it's trauma. It's trauma. Motherfucker telling a motherfucker making you shit in a cup, and you gotta ask them when to eat and whatnot. They're programming you. That's trauma. You dig what I'm saying? You're gonna be possessed. So there's no coincidence that people who go to Hollywood do not come back to their neighborhoods the same, right? They've never sent the actor or actress or anybody who's run around in the motherfucking hills. Nobody has come back the same. I don't give a fuck that whatever drill team is in those mountains, my nigga, they up 100-0. Talk black to me. They never sent no black man back to us or black woman, and they was the same. Why is that? Why is that, I ask? But anyway, the birth, care, and feeding of an egregor, right? A group intentionally setting out to create an egregor must have certain ingredients. Listen to this. Emotion, right? Energy and motion, right? An egregor is born when a group of people concentrate with emotion on a single goal or objective. The emotional aspect is crucial. Simply thinking about a goal does not have the same effect. The emotion, the intent must be strong, focused, and sustained. Secrecy, secret societies, mystery schools, political associations all have a core of teachings that is not shared with outsiders for what is more solidifying to a relationship than sharing a secret. Whether it is a privilege to know the secret or the threat that disclosure will result in mortal harm, nothing tightens a relationship like a kept secret. Going back to what I was saying about the Hollywood ritual. So in Hollywood, they'll have you sleep with a child, right? In Hollywood, you have to have a secret. In Hollywood, they'll have you sleep with a child, or they'll have you sleep with another man, right? Because you can't shame no woman for sleeping with another woman. They're like, nigga, what the fuck? You can't hang that over my head. That's not a secret, right? But for the men, you hang over a person's head, right? In those secret societies where they sleep with each other, they're like, you know what? Now we locked in. We have a motherfucking secret, and we're oath takers. We take an oath, and the penalty of breaking the oath is death, right? So whether it is a privilege to know the secret or the threat that disclosure will result in mortal harm, nothing tightens a relationship like a kept secret, right? The wall of silence, the blue wall of silence, La Cosa Nostra, right? You know what I'm talking about? The fact that they won't tell on each other and they won't speak about anything that's going on behind closed doors in their quote unquote society, in their secret society, in their network, in their quote unquote group. Segregation. Sharing a secret makes the group separate apart from the masses. Special costumes, ceremonies, chants all add to the separateness, the specialness. The thoughts of them and us focuses attention. Always us, never them, right? Motherfuckers hopping, you know, they got costumes. You know what I'm talking about? They got their little costumes. And with the costumes, it's like nobody looks like us, right? So the Masons, they dress up like they're Egyptians and whatnot. They're crypto Egyptians. They're crypto Egyptians behind closed doors. And on the front, they're they're Jews or they're quote unquote Christians and whatnot. Behind closed doors, these niggas is playing role play like they're Egyptians and whatnot, walking camels. They're crypto Egyptians, right? Ralph Cramden in the motherfucking Elks Club, right? These groups that we see in consciousness, they have their uniforms, they have their outfits and whatnot. They're different. They're like, yo, we're not like them. We're separate. You know what I'm talking about? Based off of our outfits. Ritual. Special rituals to invoke the entity of the egregor, but also stir the imagination of the participants. The power of the ritual, especially a secret ritual, should not be underestimated. Rituals have been used forever to invoke the unseen powers to operate on one's behalf. Okay. Egregors in everyday experience. The atmosphere created by an egregor could be so common we may be inclined to ignore it. Everyone has walked into a room full of people and immediately been hit with a sense of something. dread, fear, joy. It could also be very subtle, so subtle that you're not aware of its influence until we are away from the group supporting the egregor. The test of a knowledgeable person of strong character is to be aware of the presence of the egregor, to separate from it, and to decide if he or she will allow its influence. That's deep. Remember that. And any and every group that calls itself a group, a congregation, a covenant, a society, or a party has an egregor, a group consciousness. Awareness that any affiliation one makes will mean the subjugation to the egregor of that group must be considered before joining any organization. This awareness makes it easier to understand that the views of the group do not necessarily have to be your views. With that, leaving or remaining the influence is a conscious decision, right? Bobby Hemmett, Phil Valentine, the master teachers always warned us about joining organizations in the quote unquote Aquarian age. They were like, that's for the motherfucking birds, right? Do not join an organization. Don't worship no man. You know what I'm talking about? They was like, don't even look at us as leaders because we're not your fucking leaders. We're your teachers. Don't worship us. Don't get into the cult of personalities. And, you know, we couldn't help it. You know what I'm talking about? We couldn't help it. The fuck? A lot of the young students couldn't help it. They seen the master teachers as father figures and whatnot. They could not help it. They was like, nah, Bobby is my uncle. Fuck is you talking about? Like, that's the big homie. But nobody never said that that's my leader. Nobody was like, that's my supreme commander and all of this stupid shit. They was like, that's my master teacher. And people even have problems when they get all in their feelings when they hear that word and whatnot. But they specifically was saying, yo, do not follow us. Don't follow no organization. Them days for doing shit like that was kind of dead. You know? And that's no offense to anybody that's in an organization. I got to throw that disclaimer out there. But just know that when you signed up for your organization, you tapped into an egregor. How do I know? Nigga, I've been following you on Facebook. I seen the change, nigga. I seen the change. You look possessed. You look possessed. No offense. You know what I'm talking about? No judgment, just smudgment. You look a little possessed. You know, you out here regurgitating your master, supreme commander. You know, you became a parrot, my nigga. Opposing the egregor, right? I was watching Godfather of Harlem, right? The season finale was on Sunday. I've been watching that for both seasons. I rocks with that. I've been putting that show on display and holding it up like, yo, this is the shit right here. So they were focusing a lot on the second season with Malcolm X's exit out of the Nation of Islam and basically the plot. You know what I mean? They were building up the plot. They were building up the fact that the nation was trying to get him clipped and whatnot. So in the quote unquote, you see the groupthink. You see the groupthink, the blind groupthink that was taking place during those days. You see when he started opposing the egregor, he became the motherfucking enemy of the state. You see how they were bloodthirsty. That's just how the TV show was painting it out. I wasn't there, so I don't really know what had happened. But the way that the TV show was laying it out, they like, yo, they showing you why he got clipped. Why the people from the nation were implicated in his quote unquote assassination. Because he began to oppose the holy apostle, right? Science opposing the egregor. Science says that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change form. An egregor is made up of thought energy. If scientists are correct, this brings the mind the question, can an egregor be destroyed or must the energy of it be transformed? In Dion Fortune's exercise, she called on egregors to defend England from invasion, not to destroy Nazism. Unity Church often calls for a day of prayer for world peace. not for the end of those who disrupt the peace. Dion Fortune, discussing the phenomenon of the group mind in a frenzy, typical of a Hitler movement, says, but however potent the personality, however vast the resources, however popular the catchphrases, if the movement is contrary to cosmic law, it is only a matter of time till the whole group rushes madly down a steep slope into the sea. It's only a matter of time before the whole group rushes madly down a steep slope into the sea. For in such a case, it is the very momentum that is worked up, which is the cause of its destruction. Give a false movement enough rope, and it will always hang itself, failing by its own weight when that has grown sufficiently top heavy to overbalance it.
Bang, 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 bang.
Dom the Monko.
As Albert Amio states in Healing Without Medicine, after Germany was defeated, the Nazi egregor gradually faded away because there were no more masses feeding it. Thus, in time, when the emotions and feelings that were feeding an egregor disappear, the egregor slowly dissolves, right? So there's people in this community who we told y'all to stay away from. There's people in this community who we didn't kill them. We didn't put them in a box and bury them, but we kind of shut them down, right? It was only until the people, right? The masses begin to feed that motherfucking egregor, right? When they start feeding the egregor, right? That's when the shit starts to gain power again. It went from dissolving to coming back up, and now it's out here wreaking havocs. Are all egregors negative? According to the respected and anonymous author of Meditations on the Tarot, all egregors are negative. This author and many others disagree. Egregors can attach themselves to buildings or places if that was the intent of the original creators of the egregor. Ancient cathedrals are often known for their healing powers or supernatural connections to the unseen worlds and unseen entities. Caves where ancients used to worship become the object of pilgrimages. Mountains are often said to have very mystical feel or a soothing sense to them. These egregors could be fed with emotion and intent for hundreds of years with each new generation, right? So you know how they say that buildings are buried, the cornerstone of buildings are buried with skeletons and whatnot. You know what I mean? They put a body on a building, on a cornerstone of certain buildings. When they build them, they put gargoyles on the top of the buildings. You know, they put these demonic entities on top of like banks and shit like that. You feel what I'm saying? So the egregor of these buildings are basically, they influence said building. They influence the structures, right? And the same thing with the mountains and whatnot. Like I was saying, the Afghanistan is a mountainous region and whatnot. The Taliban were inside of those mountains. Okay. The Talibans were inside of those mountainous regions and whatnot. And those mountainous regions are said to be extremely mystical, not just, hearsay, extremely mystical, right? Extremely mystical. And inside of those caves, there have been warriors and there have been clans and whatnot and tribes who have gone to war thousands and thousands and thousands of years. They have not been conquered, so that that shit didn't get destroyed, that energy didn't get decimated and whatnot. It's still there. And they're able to tap in and they're able to summon some type of energy to help them when they're fighting and they're quote unquote, against a more technologically advanced, right? And a more numerous foe. And they were able to beat numerous foes many different times. Russia, Britain, and America, right? Today's the last day of the war, right? the last plane out of Kabul was today. And yeah, nigga, take that L. Hold that. Initiation. As a psychic entity, the egregor exists between the material and the spiritual worlds and is connected to both. It is a creation of the psychic objectives of the member of the group and exists as a connection to the divine. Anyone involved in the group, whatever kind of group it is, will be affected by the egregor of the group. For those that reach for a spiritual connection, the egregor assists and facilitates that connection. This process is unconscious, but it is intensified through the initiate process, which is designed to open the mind through the spirit through the egregor. The same is true of any organization, be it a church, a club, or the Ku Klux Klan. If you doubt the power of an egregor, consider the effect of an egregor in a less than wholesome group, radical Islam. We are shocked, horrified to find out what seems to be an ordinary American pursuing the American dream who visits the Middle East and comes back a terrorist. It can happen so quickly. Remember Gustave Le Bon, reason is not part of the crowd mentality. Caught up in the passionate hatred of this egregor would be hard to resist. But this is an organized group with a very strong intention. So the passion remains and the egregor continues to feed it and affect the initiate. The power and influence of the egregor to help and sustain the members of the group increases over time and through the growing numbers of members by drawing support from the members that constitute the group and hear their repeated actions, ceremonies of rituals, it maintains its power. The egregor then raises its members from the material and connects them to the divine. So the Trump movement, the MAGA movement, right? Make America Great Again. That's an egregor. Donald Trump is the one who is speaking through the egregor speaks through Donald Trump, right? He planted a seed, right? He planted a seed. Those white boys are not going anywhere. You know what I'm talking about? The white boys and the white girls, they're not going anywhere. They're only getting more emboldened. You understand? The White Walkers are not going anywhere. What you saw with the insurrection in January 6th, that is a direct result of the egregor. That is a direct result. All of the killings that you saw take place, the police killings, that's a result of the egregor. The police killings that you saw taking place, that is a result of the egregors. Okay. The quote unquote Waffle House shootings, Dylan Roof, all of that shit where these young Europeans are being possessed and radicalized online, and they're having walkthroughs and whatnot. They're being possessed, they're being taken over on websites like Stormfront, Breitbart. You know what I mean? What's that other shit? What you know what I'm talking about? You know, they chat rooms, right? You know the chat rooms. Now they on Parler, right? Now they on Parler. So you could go and read about the possession. You could go and read about how these Europeans would be Reddit, yes, Reddit and whatnot. Charlottesville, when you sort of look in those Europeans' eyes and whatnot, where they were out there trying to protect those statues. That fucking Robert E. Lee statue is a quote unquote that's a statue that's indicative of that egregor, right? The fact that they still dress up in medieval, they were out there with medieval symbols and whatnot. They were trying to channel the Visigoths and the Ostrogoths and whatnot, the Crusaders, right? They were out there channeling the quote unquote Confederates. They were out there channeling the Nazis, the neo-Nazis and whatnot. This is what they do. They tap into the thought form, the entity, the egregor. That's what they're being possessed by. They're tapping into the egregor. And then when they do other rituals like anal, right, and sexual humiliation, they're tapping into an egregor. They call it the Typhonian egregor, or Typhonian is a Setian spirit, right? Remember Set and Heru? And in the Heru and Set ritual, he embarrassed, it was a sexual humiliation ritual where he embarrassed Heru. Set basically raped him, right? So that's why you have in these secret societies, why they focus on that so much. Okay. And another, that's why the majority of the Nazis were they were LBGT. I don't know if you knew that or not, but the majority of the Nazi party were LBGT. They were tapping into a demonic entity. Okay. They were tapping into an egregor. They were all possessed. Right? When they declare holy war, the Mujahideen, when they declare a holy war, that is a possession. That's an egregor. They're being possessed by the quote unquote, what are they being possessed by the entity of the holy war. When George Bush said that there's going to be a crusades and whatnot, these niggas who put on their fucking camouflage and their G.I. Joe boots and went across the world to murder in the name of America and whatnot, they were under the possession of whatever Egregor, Donald Rumsfeld, and George W. and these niggas were summoning and motherfucking, they came out of that 9/11 ritual. Facts. Facts, nigga. World War II examples of the egregor, right? Hitler. By the time Hitler came to power, the groundwork for the egregor of the Nazi party was in place. Hitler added the missing ingredient, emotion, strong emotion, passion, right? Guido List, an author originally of Viennese birth, had created a fantasy, as Godek and Clark calls it. The fantasy drew on myths, legends, and theosophy to build a background, a believable myth for Hitler's movement. Germany in the 1880s was in some ways like America, a conglomeration of nationalities. All of these different peoples insisted on maintaining their own national identity. Liszt wanted to create a purely German identity. He began openly prosecuting Jews as morally inferior, different from the Germans. He took from Helena Blavatsky's the idea of the fifth subrace of the fifth root race, the Aryans, but Hitler dubbed the Aryans as the master race. Liszt also took from Freemasonry and Rosicrucianism and corrupted it to suit the needs of his mythology. And the borrowed god, Wotan, the Teutonic god of war, right? So that's Mr. Wednesday. That's motherfucking that's Thor's father. Woden is Wednesday, right? When you say the word Wednesday, that's the Wotan, that's the war god. That's Mr. Wednesday from American Gods, my niggas. Okay? That's Thor's father. For a detailed account of Liszt's fantasy and how it came to affect the National Socialist Party, see Nicholas Goodrich Clark's The Occult Roots of Nazism. Go read that. Because remember, Woden is a Nordic god, right? It's a Viking, a Nordic god. So Hitler and them was tapping in to the Woden. They were tapping into the war god. They were tapping into Mr. Wednesday, right? They were tapping into a Nordic Viking god. These are Germans. Okay, these are the Germanic tribes. So it's only right. Hitler added the lust, the warlike passion to Liszt's fantasy mythology of the German people to whip their spirits almost to a frenzy. After a defeat of World War I, the German morale was crushed. But with Liszt's new mythology of German superiority and a long history to prove it, German pride soared. All they needed was an enemy to focus upon, and anyone who was not of superior German blood was targeted. Hitler gave them focus in the intent of taking back their rightful places as leaders of the entire world. The mesmerizing speeches of Hitler are well known. Many commentators suggest that Hitler was possessed at the time he gave them. The egregor that is the god Wotan, the god of violence, war, and destruction. Part of his mythology would be the most appropriate for him to channel. Hitler was what we would call insane, but was he simply an open conduit for the violent forces that exist in the universe or the unseen? A theosophical viewpoint. Theosophists first brought the idea of a thought form to the public mind with Anne Besant and C.W. Leadbeater's book, Thought Forms, in the earlier 20th century. Though the concept was discussed in early theosophical literature, it is well known in esoteric thought. It is not a mainstream idea. In discussing egregors, Helena Blavatsky wrote, "Every thought so evolved with energy from the brain creates nolens volens, i.e. willingly or unwillingly, a shape." Continuing, She states that such a shape is absolutely unconscious unless it is the creation of an adept who has a preconceived object and giving it the thought form consciousness, or rather the appearance of consciousness derived from the adept's will of consciousness, consecrating an item, consecrating a totem, right? Blavatsky and Aleister Crowley and things of that nature. That's where you get this perversion. That's where you get these secret societies and these quote unquote people in power with the perversion and whatnot, right? That's why they deal with all of those perversion rituals, because they're tapping into they're possessed by these egregors, right? They're possessed by the egregor, so they swim. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna be. I don't want to be graphic tonight. I'm gonna just remain in teaching mode, because I can get graphic, but I'm not. But just understand that sexual deviancy, right, is a form of possession. Okay. So you have to watch what you watch. You have to pay it. And I keep saying this. I'm going to give you the big homie advice. You have to be in, you have to master your lower self. You have to master your desires. You have to master your fucking deviancy. You can't go off of the end. You can't, you know what I mean? That's why there's whole societies that's trying to rise up of sexual deviance, and they like, yo, don't judge us. And it's like, no, nigga, we know what that's about. Fuck out of here. Nobody is judging you. We just trying to get you niggas in a room to smudge you. We're not judging you. But what we're saying is we understand that the deviancy is a result of you not having control. You don't got discipline. You know? And the way that the culture is set up, it's set up to whereas none of us have discipline. I'm speaking to myself. The way that the culture is set up, none of us have discipline. We're always in lust. We're always slipping. We're always trying to scratch an itch. We're always under possession. Edward Bernays, Century of Self. And he came out with the whole thing about marketing to your lower self. Market these niggas' desires. Get a woman in a bikini to sell a nigga a beer and he'll buy it. This whole society is set up for us to be under the thought form of an egregor. United States of America is a fucking egregor. It's a demon, my niggas. It's a demon. All of his holidays is locked in. I try to break it down in the American God series for y'all. It's a demon. That's why these countries is like, yo, we pushing you niggas out and we'll fight to the motherfucking end. Taliban, them niggas kicked out everything American. They kicked out everything American. You know what I'm talking about? They're going to have to purge their whole society because they're going to have to put them under the possession of their egregor. You know what I'm talking about? They want to put them people under the possession of their egregor. They don't want America's egregor. When America talking about we going to bring democracy, nigga, that's demonocracy. They bringing demons to your country. Henceforth, everywhere this a possession or a motherfucking colonial piece of America is upside down. Or to be honest with you, everywhere that there's a possession of the Roman Catholic Church is completely third world and upside down and living backwards. Okay? They got motherfuckers moonwalking and whatnot, and they got people stuck in the past. They're not advancing the people. They're not advancing their quote unquote with all of the money that the church got. They're not helping to advance. They're not even building roads and stupid shit like that. You dig what I'm saying? They have these people living in a perpetual state of mindlessness. All rituals. They do it all the time, every day. A lot of these killings are rituals. The public lynchings that you see we're going to make a hashtag. Black Lives Matter is a fucking egregor. Just read their mission statement. It'll tell you what they're about from the rip, from the gate. It's an egregor. I know a nigga who went marching. He came back. He was never the same. You know what I'm talking about? Nigga went marching. He came back. He was never the same. Straight like that. He started getting into Becky's and all kind of shit. Nigga just switched up on us. Anyway. Energy feeding the egregor. No, other definitions, because I want to break this down for y'all. I don't want to, you know, I want you to really understand how intricate this shit is. In this article, understanding the occult, what is an egregor? Theron Dunn offers 4 more definitions. Right? An energized astral form produced consciously or unconsciously by human agency. In particular, A, a strong characterized form, usually an archetypal image produced by the imaginative and emotional energies of a religious or magical group collectively. Or B, an astral shape of any kind deliberately formulated by a magician to carry a specific force. From a Greek word meaning watcher, a thought form created by will and visualization. A group egregor is the distinctive energy of a specific group of magicians who are working together, creating and building the same thought form or energy form. Now, when they kill black men, right, and leave them in the street for 4 hours, right, like they did Mike Brown, when they shoot somebody dead and leave them in the streets and basically have them uncovered. When Trayvon Martin was laying on a lawn and he was positioned with his mouth open, he was positioned like the card, what's the card? The tower card, the tarot card, the tower. When you see the tower card and when you see the tower card, the way that he was positioned with one leg basically up, like how a flamingo stands, right? They ritualistically placed them as a you know, if you see the death photo of him, I don't like to show it and whatnot, but it's on the internet, you can see it, right? They leaked his death photo, right? That was a ritual of the highest degree. Okay, that was a ritual of the highest degree. The marches and everything that came out of that, the people who are in charge, right? The George Soros of the world, all of the liberals who was behind all of the fuckery that was promising you niggas and gave you nothing. Why did they give you nothing? Because they got everything that they wanted. They got your emotion. They got your tears. They were drinking your tears. You niggas went marching and whatnot. You know, black people, especially the mothers and whatnot, they were feeling it on their heart. They were saying, that's look like my baby. They were feeling it on their heart. And then when they acquitted George Zimmerman, whatever energy the black people put out after as a result of that, they still got stronger. They were able to, whatever these spirit cookers are, whoever these quote unquote warlocks and magicians, they were able to channel that energy. They were able to utilize that energy, and that energy is being used against you. Then, like I said, I broke it down in the lecture before where it was called the I called it the what was it called? What was it called? The Color Wars, right? Because it started with Kamani Gray, and then it went to Freddie Gray, and all of these whites and browns and blands and whatnot. All of these colorful names of people who they were lynching in broad daylight in front of millions of people. Because remember, on social media, how many people watch Philandro Castile take his last breath? How many people watch Alton Sterling get shot in his chest? How many people watch Eric Garner get choked out and whatnot and take his last breath? That was watched by millions upon millions of people. So whoever was behind that was channeling the energy. They were taking advantage of the fact that you were witnessing a fucking snuff. You were witnessing a live lynching in your face, and you didn't do anything about it. Our people, well, some of them got martyred and whatnot. We'll keep that, you know, some of them did get martyred, but a majority of them did not. Okay. Niggas was marching, talking about we shall overcome and whatnot. So they're able to feed off of that. They're able to pull that energy and take that and do something with it. Any symbolic pattern that has served as a focus for human emotion and energy will build up an egregor of its own over time. The more energy that is put into each platform, into such a pattern, the more potent the egregor that will form around it. The gods and goddesses of every religion, past and present, are at the centers of vast egregor charge with specific kinds of power. This power is defined by and contacted through the traditional symbolism of the deity in question. Now, going back to what I was breaking down before, American Gods, the TV show. If you haven't watched it, I was just in Best Buy the other day. They have the box set that's out and whatnot. If you have Amazon, I think it's on Amazon, you could watch the series. You could watch, it's 3 seasons. You could watch it. It's explaining to you that American Gods is talking about the egregors, right? The gods who were brought over to America, right, from foreign places, Africa, Europe, India, and other places. And what are they at? They at war with the new gods. The new gods was technology, show business, and a few other things that have popped up where people are giving that their energy. They're worshiping that. They're consecrating that. And then the other entities, you know what I mean? Like the Jesuses and whatnot, they were trying. Well, Jesus was good. He was like, nigga, I'm good. You know, these niggas is, you know, I got enough people. He was like, I got the Mexicans and the Spanish people worshiping me, and they give me all of the power that I need and whatnot. But it was explaining in the show what the egregor is about. If you give it power, if you believe in it, right? It would say all you got to do is believe. It starts with belief, then it's faith, right? And that's solid. That's able to feed the motherfucking egregor or the American God or the deity and whatnot, right? And the deity is able, the American gods were like, yo, we're able to maintain, we're able to stay alive. Now that we know that people love us, now that we know that people worship us, now that we know that people are still holding us in their hearts and whatnot, because in the African tradition, it says that if people stop saying your name, you will be forgotten forever. That's why that's why it was important to be immortalized, to be amongst the immortals and whatnot, so you could live forever. Okay, because once they stop saying your name, you're done. Okay, once they stop saying your name, you're done. Your egregor cannot be, quote unquote, who's feeding the egregor? So when they were hanging black men and chopping them up in the quote unquote South, all of the lynchings that were going on in the South, right? The Ku Klux Klan is an occult group. They were feeding their egregor. They were feeding their egregor. What were they feeding them? They were feeding them black blood. They were feeding them Africans. They were feeding them powerful people. They wasn't lynching no fucking lames back in the days. They were lynching landowners, business owners, rebels, warriors and whatnot. Henceforth, why Captain Butt Naked will cut your heart out and eat that shit, right? Henceforth, when they did the ritual in Haiti and whatnot to defeat the quote unquote French, what did they do? They sacrificed the black pig and whatnot, but they was feeding their quote unquote, they had to feed their gods. They had to feed their egregor. They had to summon the egregor, build it up, and then they had to feed it and whatnot. That's how that shit works. Okay? That's how it works. And niggas don't got nothing popping for them because they don't feed their egregors. The gangs, you kill big OG Bobby Brown back in the days, right? They've been killing people ever since they dropped the big homie, right? They got the name on the wall. They ceremoniously put the names on the wall, spray painted the name on the wall and whatnot. So they consecrate. Nobody can paint over that. They consecrate the name on the wall, right? Niggas got tattoos and whatnot. So they got the name on them and whatnot. They got the picture on the refrigerator. They got a shrine set up in the crib and whatnot at his nana's house. You feel me? And that's in it. You know what I mean? And they feed off of that type of energy. There's rituals that go on in them gangs. There's secrets that those gangs have. There's emotions and whatnot. You feel me? So it's all the way down to the lowest level, all the way up to people like the Nazi Party in Germany. An egregor is an angel, sometimes called a watcher. In Hebrew, the word is IR, and the concept appears in the book of Enoch. Thus, Iram, the city of the Nephilim, is again linked with the book of Enoch, since the Nephilim, according to that book, were the sons of the Eram, the Egregors. Although the Eram, the Egregors, are angels on both sides of the camp, fallen angels as well as faithful ones. Other words to describe an Egregor are an archetype, group consciousness, and zeitgeist, right? Let's continue. So when navigating the internet, right? When navigating these internet streets, my niggas, while moving through these internet highways, it's very important that you follow certain rules, my geniuses, right? It's very important because nobody gives us the rules to the internet. We don't have the rules to the matrix. There's no internet commandments and whatnot. So niggas get caught in traps every day. People get caught up every day. They don't understand what it is that they're doing. So a troll is an egregor. Okay. You are not to feed the trolls, my niggas. If somebody is out there bad mouthing you, talking out of the side of their neck and whatnot, it would fare better if you just pulled up on them and handled your business. But when you engage in the back and forth and whatnot, you're feeding the egregor and you're giving the egregor and the troll the energy that it needs in order to grow, in order to persist, in order to get more bolder, in order to get more powerful. And the shit begins to spread like gremlins and whatnot. You get one troll, you start feeding that shit, it turns into 10. You feed that, it turns into 100, right? The attention economy. What are the driving forces of the attention economy? Information will be impossible basis for an economy because economics are governed by what is scarce, and information, especially on the net, is overflowing. But having someone's attention, one can convert it into physical actions like raising their hands. Everyone must have some attention to survive. The potential driving force. Having attention is very desirable. Attention is difficult to get owing to its intrinsic scarcity, right? Niggas don't have time. Everybody don't have time to pay attention to you. Everybody don't have time to spend 3 hours with you. Everybody don't have time to go through your whole archives. Everybody don't have time to just listen to what you got to say or read your or click likes, y'all. Come on, click the likes.
To this day.
Click the likes.
To this day.
Yeah, click the likes, my niggas. You know what I'm talking about? Click the likes. Fuck that. How? Yeah, how? Sway. Click the likes. You know what I mean? I shouldn't even have to say that. And hit the cash app. You know what I'm talking about? We in here cooking. Click the likes. God damn it. Attention becomes the major currency in content commerce, right? So we're in content commerce. Everybody wants content. Content is king, right? I wake up every day. I'm like, where's the content? You know what I'm talking about? That's the shit that feeds me. Okay? That's the shit that feeds me. So I don't have a problem with the attention economy. I really don't have a problem because that's the economy that we're in, and motherfuckers want to get your attention. So interestingly enough, I remember in 2016, somebody had came out with a comic book called Conscious Wars, right? And to be honest with you, we was at war around that time. There was a war going on in the community, and it was being splintered into different pieces and whatnot. So, you know, this cover right here, this shit was fire. This is an NFT. You know what I'm talking about? Like, don't fuck with it. This is an NFT. This shit will pop off. You know, this shit will get a few millies and you know, very soon. So as you can see, there's a lot of the players that are in the community on the cover and whatnot. And you know, they're depicted like the Marvel characters. Here goes me and Blue Pill and whatnot. I don't know who the fuck we supposed to be. It looked like the Fantastic Four, but we the 44s, right? So I did this in Atlanta years ago, right? Because it had to be done. It just had to be done. Like I had to speak on some shit that I was seeing, and I had to address it. So I was doing a lecture with Professor Griff, and unfortunately, I don't know what happened to that lecture. You know what I mean? You know, word of advice for anybody that's out there doing lectures: bring your own camera with your own SD card, and if you could bring your own lights, my nigga, your ring light, bring that too. Don't ever put nothing in the hands of the promoter or anybody else to capture your content, my nigga. That's the most important thing. Your fucking content. That's the cash. That's the whatever honorarium that you get in. That gets spent. That's bills sometimes. You know, that could be short money or long money, but that's not the treasure. That's not the fucking catch. The catch is your content, because that's gonna live forever. But anyway, cultural conflict and consciousness. Shout out to King Kong, right? I wanted to address what I was seeing, which was very toxic behaviors, right? In the community. I'm going to get back to the toxic shit, right? So I want to just briefly give you a breakdown, because, you know, timing is everything. And I feel like it's time to bring this lesson back, right? Because we're at a time in this community where, you know, I'm beginning to see certain things. And, you know, instead of feeding the trolls or feeding the egregor, I would rather identify the personalities of the egregor. I would rather call out the quote unquote behaviors that we're seeing and whatnot. And keep in mind, you niggas are watching these videos, understanding you could be possessed too. You sitting around watching a nigga that's possessed, there's a slim chance that you could become you could fall under the thought form or the thought pattern or the egregor that's running this basically on the monkey on that nigga's shoulders. Always understand that. Everybody that watching, you could be bottlenecking watching a car crash and a motherfucker will run right into your ass because you was so nosy. So going back to what I've been saying, you have to practice the art of discernment, and everything is not to be looked at. Everything is not to be watched and whatnot. And I understand the shit is sticky and whatnot, because this shit is better than fucking like I said, Mona Scott need to come on down. You know what I'm talking about? She needs to come and bring the bag, my nigga, because this is reality TV at its finest. I don't know whoever wrote this script, my nigga, give them the Pulitzer Prize, my nigga, because this shit right here that's going on, that man, this is some Pulitzer Prize shit. Like, this is better than Housewives. I'm sorry. You know what I'm talking about? I'm sorry. Fuck is you saying? The storylines and the plots, god damn it, shit crazy. But anyway, what is narcissistic personality disorder? Because I'm hearing that word thrown around and whatnot. I be in chat rooms and I'm like, oh, y'all throwing that word around like that's the new fucking, that instead of saying agent, you know, you remember everybody was agent, right? Hey, that nigga's an agent, son. You know what I'm saying? Oh, son is an agent. I think we got agents. Now the new catchword is narcissist. You know what I'm saying? So everybody, you know, if a nigga ego is if he flexing too much, he's a narcissist. But it's rightfully, it's a spot on diagnosis of the behaviors that you're seeing and whatnot. You're not seeing things. That's exactly what it is, and then some. So let me break down what a narcissistic personality disorder is, so we can be collectively on one page. Narcissistic personality disorder. Individuals with the disorder individuals with this disorder exhibit a lack of ability to empathize with others and an inflated sense of self-importance. Definition. The hallmarks of narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, are grandiosity, a lack of empathy for other people, and a need for admiration, a dying need to be admired. People with this condition are frequently described as arrogant, self-centered, manipulative, and demanding. They may also concentrate on grandiose fantasies, i.e., their own success, beauty, and brilliance. I'm beautiful and I'm brilliant. And may be convinced that they deserve special treatment. Treat me special. I'm the king. I'm the big kahuna here. I'm King Kong, right? They want to be the head nigger in charge. They want to be the most important motherfucker. I'm the most important man that I know. They want to be him. They want to be him. This association. Oh, hold on. These characteristics typically begin in early adulthood and must be consistently evident in multiple contexts, such as at work and in relationships. People with narcissistic personality disorder believe they are superior or special and often try to associate with other people they believe are unique or gifted in some way. This association enhances their self-esteem, which is typically quite fragile underneath the surface. Individuals with NPD seek excessive admiration and attention in order to know what others think highly of them. Individuals with narcissistic personality disorder have difficulty tolerating criticism or defeat and may be left feeling humiliated or empty when they experience an injury in the form of criticism or rejection. Did you see this? Put on your thinking caps. I'm not going to think for you. I'm not going to think for you. Put on your thinking caps. You understand? And ask yourself, where do you see this behavior manifesting itself? Narcissistic personality disorder is indicated by 5 or more of the following symptoms. Exaggerates his own importance. Is preoccupied with fantasies of success, power, beauty, intelligence, or ideal romance. Believes he or she is special and can only be understood by other special people or institutions, right? Like, you can't judge me. Only somebody from Harvard can. I'm too smart. Requires constant attention and admiration from others. Hit the likes, hit the likes. Hit the likes. Has unreasonable expectations of favorable treatment. Treat me right. I'm him. Treat me right. Don't thumb down the video. Treat me right. Don't unfollow me. Don't question me. Don't ask me, is it true or not? Don't expect anything of me but my narcissistic personality disorder. Let me lambast on you niggas. Oh. Takes advantage of others to reach his or her goals. Okay. Disregards the feelings of others, lacks empathy, is often envious of others, or believes other people are envious of him or her. Nigga, I will not want to be in your shoes. You know what I'm talking about? Shows arrogant behaviors and attitudes. Sound familiar? Does any of y'all know this guy or girl? Huh? You ever ran into them? You know what I'm talking about? Because I'll be honest with you, even in hip hop, with the big dogs, with Jay-Z and Kanye, maybe Kanye, but even in hip hop, you don't even see behaviors like this, my niggas. Even in hip hop. Exaggerates own importance, is preoccupied with fantasies of success, power, beauty, intelligence, or ideal romance, believes that he or she is special and can only be understood by other special people, requires constant attention, has unreasonable expectations. Oh yeah, that's Soulja Boy. Takes advantage of others to reach his or her goals, disregards the feelings of others, lacks empathy, is often envious of others or believes other people are envious of him or her. shows arrogant behaviors and attitudes. 50 to 75% of the people diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder are male. Additionally, it is common for many adolescents to display the characteristics listed above. This does not indicate that they will later develop narcissistic personality disorder. Causes of narcissistic personality disorder are not yet well documented or understood. Genetic and biological factors, as well as environment and early life experiences, are all thought to play a role in the development of this condition. Treatments for narcissistic personality disorder can be challenging because people with this condition present with a great deal of grandiosity and defensiveness, which makes it difficult for them to acknowledge problems and vulnerabilities. Individuals and group psychotherapy may be useful in helping people with narcissistic personality disorder relate to others in a healthier and more compassionate way. Mentalization-based therapy, transference-focused psychotherapy, focused psychotherapy have all been suggestive as effective ways of treating narcissistic personality disorder, or maybe a good ass whooping every now and then. Me. Are we living through a narcissism epidemic? From attention-seeking celebrities to digital oversharing and the boom in cosmetic surgery, narcissistic behavior is all around us. How worried should we be about our growing self-obsessions, right? So we know that the era of Instagram with the pictures and whatnot, where people are trying their best to keep up with the motherfucking with the top strippers and the you know, and the thoughts and whatnot, and the scammers, right? The credit card niggas, right? Or the rappers or the drug dealers, you know, the rise of the BDLs and all of this shit, body shaming, body morphia, whatever that's called. You know, we know that it's tied into this thing that Instagram and some of these social media sites have been initiating throughout the years, especially with their algorithms and shit like that, and the new features like the like button and all of these other things and whatnot. It is basically spreading a disease, a condition, right? And a lot of people are falling prey and victim to it, and we're seeing it. And you know, we just hope that our children do not pick up these quote unquote characteristics and whatnot. We hope that our children are not affected by this condition and whatnot, because this is a condition that could grow into some gross shit. Okay. The social media usage lead to an increase in narcissism. What happens when we empower the people who get the most likes and retweets? We speak with social psychologist Miranda Giacomin, who studies the fluctuation of narcissism across situations, and Alice Marwick, a new media researcher studying self-preservation strategies, attention, and privacy online. Delusions of grandeur, right? A delusion of grandeur is the fixed, false belief that one possesses superior qualities such as genius, fame, omnipotence, or wealth. It is most often a symptom of schizophrenia. Gotta call it how you see it, right? But can also be a symptom found in psychotic or bipolar disorders, as well as dementia. People with a delusion of grandeur often have the conviction of having some great but unrecognized talent or insight. They may also believe they have made some important discovery that others don't understand or appreciate. Right? Less commonly, the individual may have the delusion of having a special relationship with a prominent person, such as being an advisor to the president, or the person may believe that actually they are very prominent and an important person, in which case the actual person may be regarded as an imposter. Grandiose delusions may have religious content, such as the person believes he or she has received a special message from God or another deity. Sometimes in popular language, this disorder may be known as megalomania, but it is more accurately referred to as narcissistic personality disorder. If it is a core component of a person's personality and identity, in such disorders, the person has a greatly out of proportion sense of their own worth and value in the world. People with this issue can also sometimes have a taste for the finer, more extravagant things in life. Let me get some caviar, please. A little bit of Don Perignon and some Grey Poupon, please. I thank you. Thank you, Albert. As you were. Grandiose delusions. Grandiose delusions, right? GD. Huh, how convenient. Delusions of grandeur. Expansive delusions, also known as megalomania. Megalomania are a subtype of delusion that occurs in patients suffering from a wide range of psychiatric diseases, including 2/3 of patients in manic state or bipolar disorder, half of those with schizophrenia, patients with the grandiose subtype of delusional disorder, and a substantial portion of those with substance abuse disorders. GDs are characterized by fantastical beliefs that one is famous, omnipotent, wealthy, or otherwise very powerful. The delusions are generally fantastic and typically have a religious, science fictional, or supernatural theme. There is a relative lack of research into GD, in contrast to persecutory delusions and auditory hallucinations. About 10% of healthy people experience grandiose thoughts, but do not meet full criteria for a diagnosis of GD, right?
To this day. To this day.
If you did not see the movie American Psycho, that's required watching. That's this crazy motherfucker right here, Christian Bale. You got to see American Psycho, all right? Please, when you get the opportunity. That's a classic. This nigga is off the chain. His character, right, is the poster child for the narcissistic personality disorder. That's his, he's the poster child for that. You know what I'm talking about? It shows it. American Psycho is a 2000 American black comedy horror film written and directed by Mary Harron. He's a wealthy investment banker, a Wall Street nigga. And his life revolves around dining at trendy restaurants while keeping up appearances for his fiancée Evelyn and his circle of wealthy and shallow associates, most of whom he dislikes. Bateman describes the material accoutrements of his lifestyle, including his daily morning exercise, his beautification routine, his designer wardrobe, and his expensive furniture. He also discusses his music collection, which includes Huey Lewis and the News, Phil Collins, and Whitney Houston.
To this day. To this day.
So that's that right there. Yeah, go watch that. Clout. When you speak of someone having clout, it usually means that they communicate a sense of power or influence, particularly in a political sense. You'll want to talk to the big guy over there if you want me to let you in. He's got the clout. Clout chasing. When someone speaks badly about another person that is better off or doing better than them to start a meaningless beef to get their popularity boosted. Right? Trolling. The art of deliberately, cleverly, and secretly pissing people off, usually via the internet using dialogue. Trolling does not mean just making rude remarks. Shouting swear words at someone doesn't count as trolling. It's just flaming, and it isn't funny. Spam isn't trolling either. It pisses people off, but it's lame. The most essential part of trolling is convincing your victim that either A, truly believe in what you're saying, no matter how outrageous, or B, give your victim malicious instructions under the guise of help. Trolling requires deceiving. Any trolling that does not involve deceiving someone isn't trolling at all. It's just stupid, right? Signs that your trolling is successful. Your victim is screaming in all caps at you. Personal attacks, calling you a retard or idiot. Being an internet tough guy. Making a crude remark before quickly logging off before you can retort. Signs that your trolling is unsuccessful. Your victim identifying you as a troll, identifying yourself as a troll, your efforts are being ignored, and you're being counter-trolled. Right? So social media addiction, we know that it's real. You know what I'm talking about? There needs to be some type of anonymous, hi, my name is Red Pill, and I'm addicted to Instagram. Right? This is the new cocaine, right? Especially since our brains are letting off that dopamine. Get the likes up. Likes. Come on now. I need some dopamine, niggas. I need a hit. Get them likes up. You know what I'm talking about? I'm trying to get high. Get them likes up, niggas. So I'm going to end it on this, right? And I want y'all to take a concerted effort to pay attention to what the fuck is going on all around you and ask yourself some questions, okay? Please, right? Respectfully. So we all know about COINTELPRO, right? We all heard about COINTELPRO. I'm going to read to you, right? What are the methods of the COINTELPRO? What are the intended effects of the COINTELPRO, right? So the methods are infiltration, okay? Agents and informers do not merely spy on political activists. Their main purpose was to discredit, disrupt, and negatively redirect action. That very presence served to undermine and scare off potential supporters. The FBI and police exploited this fear to smear genuine activists as agents. Psychological warfare. The FBI and police use a myriad of dirty tricks to undermine progressive movements. They planted false media stories and published bogus leaflets and other publications in the name of targeted groups. They forged correspondence, sent anonymous letters, and made anonymous telephone calls. They spread misinformation about meetings and events, set up pseudo movement groups run by government agents, and manipulated or strong-armed parents, employees, landlords, school officials, and others to cause trouble for activists. They use bad jacketing to create suspicion about targeted activists, sometimes with lethal consequences. Now, keep in mind, this is the 60s and whatnot, right? This shit has morphed, it metamorphed, it has evolved. Of course, all things change, right? But energy never dies. It just morphs into something else. So COINTEL 2.0, COINTELPRO 2.0 is not your grandfather's COINTELPRO. COINTELPRO 2.0 is motherfuckers is doing a job for the government and probably not even getting paid for it. Okay. COINTELPRO 2.0, right? Where they giving niggas coins, right? You see the FBI informants get paid to coin, right? The operation of the tel is telecommunications. The fact that your phone is the new agent, right? Your phone is the new agent. They don't need to pay agents to watch you anymore. You got the fucking iPhone 11, nigga. Your phone is watching you. Your devices are watching you. Your devices are smart and they're locked into multiple agencies and they're watching every fucking move that you make. As you can see, when they locking up the hip hop niggas and the gang members and whatnot based off of their phone activity, right? So COINTEL, the tel is your telephone, your telecommunications, and the shit that you communicate with. And the pro is the camera, it's the GoPro, it's the surveillance, right? Everything is being surveilled, right? It's not just your camera phone is watching you. They got cameras, and a lot of places they got drones that will follow niggas and watch them. Okay, they got drones that will follow you. They'll watch, you know, they got camera systems set up at traffic lights, and you know what I mean, like shit crazy, bro. Let's just the shit crazy. Okay. So the intended effects of FBI's COINTELPRO was to expose, disrupt, misdirect, or otherwise neutralize groups that the FBI officials believe were subversive by instructing FBI field operatives to, one, and keep in mind, hip hop shows you this with Tekashi. Hip hop is showing you this. The mafia showed you this. The drug gangs have showed you this. The motherfucking Rock Nation is showing you this. You don't know who is an informant. You don't know who got locked up. And they was like, you know what? Either you go ahead and we take you from your family, or you're gonna go ahead and be a motherfucking operative, right? You don't gotta spy on nobody. You don't gotta bring us back nothing. We spying on everybody as it is. We got that covered. What we need you to do is be disruptive. We need you to be an agent provocateur. We need you to cause problems. We need you to cause beefs. We need you to make videos about people and whatnot. And we need you to cause strife in your community. That's what we need you to do. We need you to collaborate with other agents and whatnot. And we need y'all to spread all kind of, disinformation and things of that nature. That's your assignment. So these are the intended effects of the COINTELPRO. Create a negative public image for target groups by surveilling activists and then releasing negative personal information to the public. Number two, break down internal organizations by creating conflicts, by having agents exacerbate racial tensions or send anonymous letters to try to create conflicts. Number three, create dissension between groups by spreading rumors that other groups were stealing money. Number four, restrict access to public resources by pressuring nonprofit organizations to cut off funding or material support. Number five, restrict the ability to organize protests through agents promoting violence against police during planning and at protests. Number six, restrict the ability of individuals to participate in group activities by character assassinations, false arrests, and surveillance, right? So I would say pay attention to what you see taking place in your communities and the characters that are in their communities and the things that they're involving themselves in and the way that people are out here moving, because it smells like there's an operation taking place. And it could be the egregors at work. You know what I mean? It could be the demons at work. It could be niggas bad spirits at work and whatnot. The government is just sitting back, eating bonbons, you know what I mean? And just laughing at how this shit is imploding and whatnot. And they like, damn, we didn't even have to do nothing. These niggas is doing it to themselves. But I would only say, keep your eyes open, because I don't trust nothing at the end of the day. You know what I'm talking about? I don't trust nothing, especially if you're dealing with people with the narcissistic personality disorders. These are manic depressives. These motherfuckers are sociopaths. So to act like these are some honorable people who wouldn't cross that line and do their people dirty, I would never put nothing past nobody. Straight like that. You know what I mean? You got agents going out, you know what I mean? You got agents beefing with agents and whatnot. So it's crazy in these streets, in these YouTube streets. So I'm gonna let that marinate, yo. I feel like that was enough information for the night. You know, that was enough information. I don't want to information overload the family. You know, the summer is over. You know, the summer's a wrap. You know what I mean? It's definitely been a red summer. You know, it's definitely been a red summer. I can't say it enough. You know what I mean? This summer is more redder than last summer. You know, this summer is more redder than last summer. But this is definitely a red summer. You know, it's a lot of things. You know, it's a lot of sacrifices on the altar. It's a lot of sacrifices on the altar. But like I said, shit happens, you know? Shit happens. I've been here for more than a decade. I seen it. I seen this shit happen many other this, you know, like I said, the matrix corrects itself every now and then. You know what I mean? The matrix has to, you know, like the crypto market, they had to go through a correction to get the numbers right and get the shit coins out of the way, right? That's some of the same things that you see going on, as above, so below. There's a correction taking place. And when this shit is all said and done, and when the smoke clears, if you run behind certain individuals, right, and you've been shown what you needed to see, then my nigga, that's on you. I'll see you somewhere on Lexington Ave shaking a motherfucking cup in a few years, right? Looking all crazy and whatnot. And I'll drop some change on you, my niggas. I drop some fucking change on you and I'll keep it moving and don't say nothing. Because if that's where you at, then you know different than the people that you following. You might even be more lower frequency than even they are. So birds of a feather flock together. You know what I'm talking about? And we not here to hold nobody's hands. You definitely right. There's no community. There's a network though. There's a network. I said it before. Community is an idea and a concept, the same way that the Taliban is. It's an idea and it's a concept that a community will form one of these days, right? Offline, right? Off the grid. Not on, you can't have a community on the internet, my niggas, right? But it gotta be, you know, you can't build a community on a foundation that's shaky and whatnot. The foundation has to be strengthened. You got to separate the wheat from the mare. Is that the term? I keep asking like I don't know. The wheat from the tare, right? We're a network. We're a network that exists with the intentions of one day forming a community, but that community has to have regulations. That community has to have laws. That community has to have a council. That community has to have a penalty system. It has to have a reward system. It has to have a value system. That's what it needs. Or other than that, it will never stand. You know what I'm saying? It'll be a fucking joke, like this network is looking like. So it's not impossible. It's an idea and a concept. Who's strong enough to bring their ideas and concepts to life, right? How magnetic is the idea? So somebody is going to step up, or some bodies are going to come and step up, and they're going to offer a solution, and they're going to bring the people who are ready, that on the frequency, and they're ready to, quote unquote, they're going to bring the clean glass and they're going to sit it next to the dirty glass, and they're going to bring a solution, and those who are basically in alignment with that solution will move with that solution. That's how it works. You can't bring everybody to the fucking barbecue with you. This never been for everybody. This has never been for everybody. It was always for a selected few. That's a fact. It was always for a selected few. So, with that being said, they wilding on these internet streets. Make sure y'all hit the like buttons. Let me see. Make sure y'all hit up the cash apps. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Let me give a shout out to the family, the cash apps. All right. Doo-doo-doo. Shout out to Nubian DNA for the Cash App. You dig? Shout out to Richard Branch. Shout out to Rick Wells, Wayne's World, Abriella, TV, Ben Owens. I see you. Lakeisha. All right. Khalija. I hope I pronounced that right. Thank you, yo, for your Cash App. And shout out to everybody sending Cash Apps in advance. You know what I'm talking about? I appreciate everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tapping in. We'll be back Thursday, inshallah. You know what I'm talking about? We'll be back Thursday, and we'll have more information for you. You feel me? That'll be around the first of the month. Like I said, I will be in Houston. I'm doing a pop-up only for one day. I will be in Houston. So if you're in Houston, pull up. You know what I'm talking about? I'll be available for one day. That's the only day I'll be available. So please don't hit me up talking about let's link up. No, meet me at the pop-up, my genius. You know what I'm talking about? This is family time. So I'll be available on Labor Day, September the 6th at 4 p.m. I'm bringing some friends with me. We talking about getting to that bag. The bull run is back. Crypto is back. Niggas took a break and whatnot. The crypto run is back. You know what I'm talking about? These motherfucking stocks is popping. So, you know, let's go into the fourth quarter, right? Let's go into the fall and whatnot. You know what I mean? And let's fall into some bread and whatnot. Let's fall back into some streams of income. You feel me? Summer is over, and to be honest with you, it's smelling like another lockdown is coming. So you might want to stack your chips up. You might want to invest it for the long run. You might want to get your portfolio correct and whatnot, because you might be in a motherfucking crib for a few months coming up if these people have it their way. You feel me? So the link is in the description for your tickets for the pop-up, and it will also be available on Zoom. If you can't make it, if you live in another state, we're going to have it available on Zoom. So if you want to tap in, be my guest and pull up, and I appreciate it. I'll see y'all then, and we will chop it up and we will get it in. And yeah, that's what it is. All right. Make sure you know the location. When you buy the tickets, my genius, you'll get your location. You feel me? You'll get the location. Don't worry about it. The tickets is in the description. You know what I'm talking about? We got you covered. Okay. So we're going to get out of here. And like I said, love and light to the family. Stay dangerous. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's what it do, man. Peace. Summer.
Punch me in, Quay. Red pillar. When the masters ascended, you bastards pretended like you was passing amendments, changing the law. Men now freemen like you was changing the God. Strange things like you was strange to the gods. Simple and plain, you a fraud. How could you claim that you God? Back then my mental was trained, like mental's in pain, the mental was trained. Plain and simple, the game is mental, train a lentil. When it rains, it pours, and it rains torrential. Back at the ranch like Kanye, just me and machines like Conway. Me and machines like Conway. Looking for me in the whirlwind. They didn't believe in Garvey, but they believe in Steve and Harvey. Now they thinking like women and looking like girlfriends, like on the wheel of Fleas and Barbie. They didn't believe in Barbie. Niggas don't wanna do research, they just wanna wear t-shirts. I'm in the same bag. That shoe so up in Fendi, New Yorker was trendy. When Dr. York, he was the voice of New York like Wendy. They up to the Mark and Mendy's. They on the wrong side of history. They on the wrong side of Sicily. Biblio, Helios, Sicily, enemies. European, Hennessy, Cupid, energy, in his tense. If it were a person, it would be Mike Pence. Niggas still see through like tints. The light bent. on a 90-degree angle. 93 hours, a 90-degree angel. The strangler on the world like Charlie the Wrangle. Black woman and child, a mystical angel. The strangle by mystical jangle. I learned in Miami, some people you enter your life to feed on your light, feed on your rights. Others will enter your life and teach you to read and to write. Others who made in your life like Jesus the Christ. He is alright, but he is not real. Some people are good when you need the advice. We giving it back to see it alright. Seize the night, we got the keys to life. All night we perform like Mike. Eat the mic, seize your life, leave your life, squeeze the pipes, drip out them stuff like freezer ice. We breaking the bread like it's Hanukkah. Wake up to bread on the monitor. We breaking the bread like it's Hanukkah. Wake up to bread on the monitor. On the way up the thermometer. Off of the planet Andromeda. Beat a wash, listen to beat to Taj. Chances are you never dance with the stars. Had all the chances to spar and sands to ball. My father has many new mansions on Mars. I sailed out in chrome spaceships. Bitch, I bailed out with chrome bracelets. Yeah, I brailled out my own matrix. They say that it's ego, but it's a strong intention. They play with the people, take credit for wrong inventions, long extensions, Empire State Buildings, in the time scenarios, King Kong, Dungeon Dragons, in the rhyme scenarios, the songs that mention songs, that all my henchmen on. Niggas in trenches and benches with wrenches and bombs. Listen to songs, getting they flags and bitches is on. Master self, catch yourself before you catch yourself. Make sure that you cash your wealth. Ask yourself when you detach your belt. If the vibe is off, it's because strides is lost. Cold world, survive the frost. Red summer, it's because strides is lost. Cold world, survive the frost. Survive the frost. Survive the frost. Survive the frost.